Esta
This
es
call is
Global
now being
Talent.
recorded.
Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Talent.
What's up, James? What you got going on? Who you talking to?
Before we start getting into this conversation, because sometimes, I'll be having, we'll be, conversating and whatnot, and then people will be like, hey, we can't hear you. I can't hear you. So, all right, cool. It looks like everybody can hear us on both sides. So, all right. So I want to go ahead and welcome.
I want to know.
I want to go ahead and welcome David and David Lopez and Jesse Nava to a brand new episode of You Have a Collect Call From. And what's up, David? What do you want to know?
I want to know who these people are. First of all, who are you out there? Is this across the pond folk? Is this our boy, Southside BK? Not to be mixed in with anything over here in Southern California. Is this who we got? Is this the homegirl from Texas?
Man, we got. Let's see. Out to here we got right now. We got Anita. I'm not sure where she's from. We got Hancho. Who else do we got over here? We got Maribel Vasquez. Hey man, she's a regular. Shout out to Maribel. Highly appreciate that. We got Britt Brett.
First of all, real quick though, James, I want to send a happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, all the mothers that may be in here listening to us on this Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Definitely want to send a shout out, little happy Mother's Day to everybody, and thank you guys for being here. Want to send a special shout out to the mothers in our lives, and David in my life.
Yep.
Definitely want to send that shout out. Again, thank you guys for being here and spending this Mother's Day with us, and happy Mother's Day to Mrs. James. And we haven't been on in a while. This is Jesse. I want to say, Cuba, what's up? How's everybody doing? Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Kind of whooped right now coming in from the yard. It's hot as hell out here. We're in the devil's asshole right here. It's 108 degrees today already, mid-spring. Haven't even got to the summer yet, and it's already like 107, 108 degrees out there, but it's all good. Spencer for the interruption. James, go ahead and handle your business. Handle your scandal.
Go on.
All right. So let me see.
Go on.
Let me see who else we got in here, man. We got a little bit of everything right now. I just saw some of the comments popping up right now while you were talking. We got Chad. He's coming in. I believe Chad is coming in from Riverside. Thank you for that daily heart. Let me see. We got Savage Cookie.
What's up, Chad?
Let me see. We got a juror. We got juror 67.9. And then let me see. We got Make Money. We got Smash. We got Sugar Bop. Let me see who else do we got in here. We got Build Cool Things. Build Cool Things is a regular. Chat is also
llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
A regular. We got Taurus. She's also a regular. Let me see who else do we got in here. We got Just Katie Love. She writes, "Hello, boys." Let me see. We got we got Ryan in here. Let's see who else do we got in here? We got man. Meg Money is always cracking up. He's always dropping Mad Dog 2020 comments in here. We got Animal Lover coming in from Arizona. We got Tammy coming in from Ontario, Canada. We got Bill Cool Things coming in from the East Coast. We got Lisa coming in from Lancaster, California. We got a Little Mama. She writes hi. And let me see. I got to welcome back to United States. Let me see. We got Nova Scotia from Canada. We got Chad coming in from
Nova Scotia. And Nova Scotia. Yeah, go ahead. I want to say it right. Give them their due diligence in Nova Scotia.
That's right. We got Chad from the IE. He's coming in from the IE. And who else? We got Raven coming in from Iowa. We got Kira. She writes hello. We got Baltimore, Maryland. We got Kong coming in from Baltimore. So we're getting bits and pieces throughout the United States, Canada. We got Becky. She writes, "Stay cool, guys."
Well, we'll try. Hey, look, the thing about this place, right? Like we know that we come to Centinela, there's not a lot of prisons around our region that we can really go to, just because of housing and whatnot, right? They kind of send you where they send you. So generally, when we come to prison in California, they send you to a reception center. And like if you're from like Riverside County, you know that you're going to go to like Wasco or Delano. They used to send you straight to Delano before. If you're from LA County, they'll shoot you to Delano. If you're from up north, they'll send you to like, before it would be Tracy or San Quentin. And if you were a violator, like if you violated your parole before, they will send you to Chino or Tracy. And it's just, we kind of know where we're going to go when we get sent out of the county jail, when we first get locked up. So from there, they send you wherever. Like I've been sent all the way to New Folsom in Sacramento. I've been sent to Soledad, which is in Northern California, it's close to San Francisco. I've been sent to Central California. Same with Jesse. Like we get sent all over the damn place. So generally, we do our best to try to request prisons after we come up. It's like a classification annual that they do on us, where they kind of review our program and stuff. And we all try to request to come down here, you know, if we're from Southern California. And the problem is that it's slim pickings. The chances of us getting to Donovan, where like the Menendez brothers are at and stuff, it's kind of hard because it's mostly level 2, and they got yards that are like trouble yards and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to get there. So we generally just like, we'll request it, but it's not happening.
And it's a medical facility.
Yeah, medical facility and stuff like that. So Lancaster is always another option if you're from LA, but it's kind of difficult to get to Lancaster too. So a lot of times they're going to send us here to like Calipatria, which is in Imperial, California, around there, or Imperial Valley, or here Centinela, or you can get to Ironwood, which is over there in Blythe, kind of like on the Arizona border, but it's all in the desert, man. So when it gets hot out here, we roast. I guess what it is. We all know what it is. Once May comes around, man, I am run to the dirt right now, James. Like I'm telling you. Jesse came in, he tapped out on the yard like around 2:30, came in to do what he's got to do, but man, I stayed out there till 3:30 and I was working out. And it was so hot, and we were doing so many things out there, working out. I was playing volleyball, softball, like, man, we went hard this weekend. And when I came in, Jesse was standing up, right? He's standing up, and he's facing the door of the cell. It's a small cell, so when you walk into your cell, he's standing there, you know, by the far back by the table, and he's all locked up, right? He's like, his body's like in some weird position, contorting, right? Because Jesse's full of cramps, right? He's cramping because, like, I don't know if it was dehydration or not, right? But he had that look, and it's crazy because he suffers, like, Jesse suffers in silence. Like, he's not complaining, he's not saying nothing, he's got this weird bulging look in his eye, his body's a little contorted, and I'm not surprised to see him like this. So it's not like something like, all right, well, whatever weird thing Jesse's got going on with his physical freaking body right now, like, he could be in a mental breakdown, whatever, but he's not going to complain. He's not going to mention it. And, like, if he tells me what it is, he tells me what it is. So he's locked up, right? So I'm like, all right, so I pay no mind. You know, I just go and start bird bathing and doing what I got to do. And then my body starts locking up. I start cramping. My leg shoots out to the side. My biceps freaking cramping. My ribs cramping. Like, and so Jesse's just looking at me like, oh, it happened to you too, huh? He's like, oh, okay, well, now you know, this explains what I'm going through. So I don't know if we like came in off of the heat and we hit the cooler air in the cell, but man, I went through it right now, both of us. Hey, you know what's crazy too about Jesse is he sleeps and sits in the weirdest positions. Like I can't sit like that. Like I'll throw my lower back out, but he'll sit there and he'll have his leg up on like a stack of books. You know, like I got to have a little padding because it's all hard in here. It's concrete, it's metal. We got the lockers are metal, the bunks are metal. Like it's not a comfortable place to sit. You don't got like a couch, a little sofa. You know, we got like a bunk that we roll up into our little couch, and we got blankets that we stack. But it's hard on the back. And Jesse, he just embraces it. Like he'll just be sitting there with his head kind of cocked to the side, nothing protecting his neck, and he'll just be like, he'll have a book open in his hand. He'll have the tablet on his other part of his lap, and he'll be asleep, the TV blaring, and I'll be like, damn, what the hell is this fool doing? Like, I'll be down here cooking, making noise and shit, and he's just, it seems like the more noise I make, the harder he sleeps.
I think that's in the county jail, though, low-key. You learn to tune that noise out, like in the county jail, because it's constant noise over there. So if you don't learn to sleep through noise, you're not gonna. But it's weird though because I can decipher what noise I'm supposed to ignore and what noise I'm not supposed to. Like noise that I shouldn't be hearing, That'll have me up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, like I'll be tiptoeing around, and he'll be up, he'll be tossing and turning, right? And I'll notice, like, I'll move something, and there'll be like a sound, like the hot pot makes a noise or something, and then he'll be like, he'll snore a little bit, and I'll be like, damn, what the hell? I'll hit the locker a little bit, and then he'll be in a full-blown snore, and then I'll tiptoe again, he'll wake up, like, it's like the opposite. This fool's like the opposite. Yeah, he's the opposite. He'll go deep, too. Like, if I just start this, man, rappers, chip rappers, man, he'll be in a full-blown coma. You rattle some chip rappers, this fool's gone.
It's like a lullaby.
Yeah.
Lullaby.
Yeah.
What's so, James? I'm hearing you just coming back from El Salvador, man. Talk to me about your trip. What's going on?
Yeah, you all right?
Man,
all right?
yeah, man. It was.
Trying to take you into that prison?
Man, nah, man. We went out there, went out there for vacation, and I had I'm not sure if you guys seen in the news, but then they've been allowing people to go in, people that do YouTube videos and TikTok videos. So I had been emailing them, to try to get in, to check if I could get some action. But other emails that I came up, that I was able to retrieve online, that they're no longer working. And then I try to reach out to them through like Facebook or TikTok, through Instagram, through all the social media avenues that I could find, and I wasn't getting anything back. So since we were out there, I was like, man, might as well just stop by. I'll look for the office and check, if I could find out exactly what do I need, to be able to get access into that place. So of course, everything's not easy over there in these type of countries. They make you jump through hoops and whatnot. So the information I was able to find for the building that was supposed to be the place that you could find out information like that, it wasn't it anymore. They had recently moved, and then over there, when they give you addresses, it's not like they give you like a physical address. They'll tell you like, hey, you go down like 5 streets, then you see like a Domino's on the right, and then you see a statue on the left, and then you see a dog barking, and if you see that, just keep on going.
You know you're on to something when you see the barking dog.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, hey, I got 2 ways. I can tell you how to get in, right? I'm telling you, walk around downtown El Salvador with a Bulls hat on, right? With a Chicago Bulls hat on, and go and just wait, and you'll end up in that prison in no time. Or get yourself a little weed plant on one finger and a little happy face on another. I don't know what that means, but they're saying it in the press, right?
Yeah.
Get you in there. You know what I mean? You'll be right there next to our buddy, your Garcia, or whatever his last name is. Abrego. You know what I mean? It's not going to be pretty, James, but write it out. You know what I mean? It's for us, the viewers, people across the globe. And there's another way, right? You can try to attach yourself to a Democratic senator or congressman. Aren't they going down there nonstop? I'm serious. Like, why don't you talk to a representative that's going down there making a big fuss and see if you could attach yourself onto, like, no, I don't think that works, huh? Like, that's a huge international incident.
Yeah, nah.
Just be like, hey, man, check this out.
Maybe I'm
a Salvadorian American, and I want to bring some light to this. I want to be objective about this whole plight.
Yep.
I get you have the right side and you have the left side, but let me bring this story down in the middle. I want to air this and see what they say.
Yeah, you just tell me you guys could keep your politics. Like, we want to,
Yeah, we just want to hear the real.
We want to know what it is in there. Like, we want to know how they're surviving. We want to know some stories. Like, how does somebody end up in a situation like that? And we're interested in that,
I want to know what's on the menu for dinner tonight in that prison.
Yep.
Arroz.
Yeah, what do they eat down there?
Arroz and frijoles, rice and beans.
Arroz. That's it.
Yeah.
Day and night.
Yeah.
Beans and rice and Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That's what it is, So yeah, the regulars that are on this channel, probably know Jesse and I. We come on here. We try to do it weekly. The last 2 weeks we were a little caught up. I was at a family visit. James, you were obviously in another country. We had some stuff going on, but we try to come on here weekly to give an insight into what our lives are like.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
It's like these people just want to keep interrupting these robots. But anyway,
right.
Me and Jesse, we're both lifers. We're considered lifers in the California prison system. So what that means is that we can die in prison because of our sentences. Things are changing where they're giving us an opportunity to get out early. Well, yes, You guys have access to 2 lifers right now that have changed their lives. We don't promote prison. We don't do none of that stuff. But James wants to give you a call back.
Yeah, for sure. And then just wanted to let you guys know, Southside tapped in and he said what's up to you guys. He said what's up right after you guys mentioned him. So shout out to Southside, if you will.
That's cool. Southside BK, yeah, we had to mention
BK,
boy right there.
baby.
Yep.
All right, so the call was automatically cut off. They should be calling us back. So hey, so for those of you that for those of you guys that are wishing me well wishes for coming back to the U.S. Hey, it was good to to get in through customs. I didn't have any issues. They didn't even ask me anything. If you travel, I would highly suggest downloading this app called MPC Mobile Passport Control, and that'll get you through customs in a breeze. You don't even have to jump in that line. That line, when we did that, there was about like 1 million people when we walked in. It was like a queue of people. It was bananas. But we downloaded the app really quick. I scanned the passport, took some pictures, and we went through customs like in about 10 minutes. And if you ever been to Atlanta, if you ever done a entry to the country to Atlanta,
Global Telling, usted tiene una llamada prepagada
you
de
know that Atlanta's banana. So for us to get through like in 10
un
minutes from the time we
individuo
disembarked that plane,
encarcelado
that's
en
some really
de la
good time.
prisión
James, when
estatal
I
de
was when I
Centinela,
play a video
Centinela,
for my
California.
group, they want
Esta llamada y
them,
su número de teléfono será
they
controlada y grabada.
want me only.
You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada,
Hey, thank you,
diga o
Becky C.
oprima ahora el 5.
What's the app again? It's called MT Mobile Trans Mobile. I gotta
Para
look it up.
registrarla,
Hold on,
por
let me
favor,
see.
cuelgue ahora o espere.
Mobile
Gracias
Passport
por
Control.
utilizar Global
MPC.
Telling.
Hello.
James.
Yep.
What's up?
All right.
When it went on for a little second, I was like, damn, I wonder if I dial my girl's number because I do that sometimes.
She's like, hey, what are you calling me for?
I'm hanging up. In Spanish, yeah. She's like, no, she knows. She'll be like, hey, wrong number, man. Call James. She got me programmed. So, but anyway, this so we come on here. We can't see your messages, but James does his best to read them off. And we generally come onto this channel to shine a light on prison, but I guess on our stories and other aspects of what it's like to live in here without glorifying the gang lifestyle, politics, and whatnot. If you guys have questions, you guys got loved ones and stuff that are in the California prison system, you guys have general questions about, well, what is it like to have life in prison, to wake up every day and wonder, like, damn, am I going to die in this place? This is where you can ask those questions. This is a unique opportunity. James is the boy, and we have a mutual friend that we met him through, and we've been doing this for a couple of years now. So, feel free. If James doesn't get to your question right away, if it kind of gets low down into the feed a little bit, then just ask him again. Those of you guys that are regulars on here, if you see somebody pop a question, maybe if we don't get to it, it would be cool if you guys can kind of help us. There's people that often ask, right? So these are what most commonly asked questions. What are we in prison for? So Jesse and I were here because we both took somebody's life. This is where Jesse did. He committed his. It's a we just say, because TikTok kick us off, so we kind of like dodge around certain words. But Jesse committed his crime when he was 17 years old. He got locked up about 4 or 5 years later, and he's serving 25 to life. He had a sentence of life without parole at first, but they changed it, and that's a whole other story right there. But Jesse's been in for 24 years. Me, I committed my crime in 2010. And for people that want to know, we're all over the internet, like our cases and stuff like that. So you can look at the news stories and stuff like that. But I committed mine in 2010. I've been incarcerated for almost 15 years, and I have a prison sentence of 40 years to life. So, it's a sobering thing to kind of wake up and be like, damn, I got sentenced for 40 years to prison. And what we like to shine a light on is that one bad decision could change everything. And if you have loved ones that are in the game, you got people that are doing like they're involved in gangs, they're involved with like dealing, stuff they shouldn't be doing and things like that. Like this could happen. One bad situation, it's a wrap. I was rolling around, I was living that gang lifestyle, I was carrying, bang bangs on me, firearms and stuff like that. and I was doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing, and as a result of that, somebody lost their life. So I'm in a place where I should be for doing the things that I was doing before. I'm not the same person that I was then, but this is exactly the consequence of those actions. You know, and there's a lot of people in here, James, that like kind of cry about their time, and they'll be like, oh, well, they took away this privilege, and they won't let us do this, and they don't let us do that, and oh my gosh, I got all this time. And it's like, I'm looking at these dudes, and they're all tattooed up on their faces, and they got the little teardrop, and, you know, the 3 dots tattoo on their freaking hand. And I'm like, what kind of gangster were you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're crying, like you're out there harming people, and you're out there freaking gangbanging on people, and you're out there taking people's lives, and now you're crying because you got life? Like, are you serious? What did you think was going to happen? Holmes? You know? Like, how is this a surprise?
Maybe it was his first time, because you said something early on, you're controlling cases, how you guys ended up in prison now, but it just didn't happen overnight. It was something that you guys transitioned into, right? Because you guys started off at the juvenile system and then eventually graduated to the county jail.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how it happened. Yeah, I just like Jesse, he committed his crime, like took somebody's life at 17 years old. That was after he went through the California Youth Authority. That was after spending time in juvenile hall. I mean, both of us have been to multiple juvenile halls, that been to all kinds of camps and placements and group homes and you name it. As juveniles, Jesse was actually in the same juvenile hall when I got into my first fight when I was a kid. Scared to death, man. But you got to do what you got to do in these places. And so, yes, I didn't start out. I did not come out of the womb, because this is Mother's Day, so I got to do little references. I did not come out of the Mother's Day womb, guns blazing. It didn't happen like that. There was little things that transpired in my life that led to the progression of crime, of being a criminal. I started doing small things, candy bars, still drinking the soda in the store, but that need for acceptance put me around people that I probably shouldn't have been around. And they look like these dudes in here. They look like these dudes. They got the 3-dot tattoos and the freaking listening to the Cholo Oldies, these arms of mine, and got the primer Regal. But then, you know what I'm saying? But these dudes, you know what I'm saying? They got the primer Regal parked out front, with the freaking with the 13-inch beatings, and it's like these fools look the part. So when you're around them, you're like, damn, these fools are freaking, you want to turn it up. You want to impress these people. And then when they get to prison and you see these fools in prison, and it's like, man, what the hell? These fools, like, I would see people that I knew, like, from the halls or from childhood and stuff. I would see them in prison, and stuff would kick off. And I'd be like, it's go time. Let's do this. And I'd be like, man, I'm just trying to go home. And it's like, wait, what the hell? You've been recruiting me since I was 13 years old, Holmes. You want to go home now? Ruin my life.
Before you came to prison.
Yeah, it's like, man, this is, but that's the crazy thing, though, and I guess that's the message we try to relay to everybody.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Glorifying the gang lifestyle and all that stuff. Like, some people make it. Some people make it and they be successful, but most don't. What is it? 98% failure rate?
Yep. The study of criminology doesn't change because only about 5% of criminals are able to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And I guess you could say those are semi-successful criminals.
You get the guy what was it? The one that created that workout freaking thing?
Yeah.
He was from Brooklyn, or from New York.
Yep. The T9.
Con workout.
Yeah.
Con workout. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just the reality of it. But.
Yeah. And so, what you got for us, James?
My mic is getting messed up right here. So we had a question from 2310 Jack 23, and they're asking, is California prison yard really that packed? And you know what, this would be the perfect question to ask you guys, because you guys remember prison before you know, what it is now. You know, you guys remember when people were sleeping in the gyms and the, you know, triple stacked and all of that. So you guys could share the contrast between then and now.
What did you say? Is it that packed?
Yeah, is California prison?
Packed.
Yeah.
California prison that packed.
It's
Not anymore.
It's changed a lot the last few years. You know, I don't.
Yeah, it's definitely, prison isn't really packed at all, to be honest with you. Like, some yards are a little more packed than others, but they've reduced the crowding. They went from like 170,000 people. They're down to like 90,000 right now. So they've cut it. I think it might even been up to like 180. It was like 100 and something % capacity, like, and the feds had to step in because it was causing horrible conditions, living conditions, medical conditions. And so over the last, I'd say about 6 years, they've reduced the crowding drastically, and so now it's not really that packed, to be honest with you. This yard right here holds 1,000 people, and we're at like capacities like maybe like 500.
Yeah.
So it's not that packed, but like James said, there was a time right here in prison where you had people triple stacked, elbow to elbow, sleeping in the gyms, sleeping in the day rooms. You had level 2 guys sleeping in the gym on a level 4 prison, level 4 180 prison.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised that the first 180 level 4 prison that I went to was the SAT-F. That's New Corcoran, California Substance Abuse Treatment Facility and State Prison. That's what they call it, because they got the treatment yards. But that's prison. And when I got to the 180 level 4, I seen, like, I'm on the yard, and this is like, James, a 180 level 4, like, I've described what those yards look like. Those yards are different. Those yards are split down the middle. They got catwalks around the whole yard. They got gunners up in the catwalks. Like, every time that yard opens, something's going to happen generally. And when it does, it's going to be vicious. So they got camcorders recording at that time. They had camcorders up on tripods. They had gunners, I'm telling you, surrounding the yard. And then I'm walking, and I go by the handball court, and I see a bunch of people watching me from the gym window. And they're in orange jumpsuits, and I'm like, damn, what the hell? And these fools are like, yeah, these fools are like trying to look hard, but they're just like, even they got that look like, damn, you know, I'm glad I'm on this side of the glass. You know, but the gyms were full. And when I first came to my first term, because I've been to prison a few times, man. I was an idiot. And my first term, I came in at 18 years old, and I was a level 1, James. I was not hardened by any means, like, you know, I was when I committed my crime, my life crime. And the first place I went into was a big-ass dorm, man. It was people everywhere. It's like a dorm, and it seemed like there was hundreds of people in there. Everything, like, man, you go to the shower. I walked in there, and I was like, all right, I got a shower, right? And there's no shower door. You know, everybody's heard the rumors about don't drop the soap and, you know, the steamy shower, and like, I've been to several showers that really look like that, from like one of the 1970s prison movies. Soledad was like that. You walk in, and it's like you can't see 3 feet in front of you, and it's all steamy, and it's like freaking 10 dudes in there freaking showering. It's like, oh, hell no, I'm gonna go bird bath. You know, you felt like that, you know. But in Wasco, no, I'm sorry, the first prison I went to was Delano. That was my reception center. And the showers, there's still 3 nozzles, and there's people everywhere. And you want to know the worst thing, James? Try waking up in the morning and having to go to the bathroom. I'm sitting there freaking, like, jumping up and down, like, trying to get to a bathroom. Like, man, I got to pee, you know. And freaking, there's a line of, like, 30 people. Yeah, it was like, oh, my gosh. This is going to be a nightmare. But that's what dorms were like. And then when it goes down in there, pandemonium. I mean, you guys hear that sound, right? People in the world, I don't think you guys have heard that sound. So I'm going to bring you guys close to the door. You hear that sound, James?
I sure do. Alarm, right?
That's an alarm. For those of you across the world, if you're listening to that sound right there, that when that sound goes off, that's pandemonium. You hear that sound, you're like, man, no matter where you are, they know to drop. Now, we're in the cell right now. Jesse and I, we're cellies, we're roommates. So we have a tablet. They gave us these ViaPad tablets, and so we can call you guys, speak to the world. But right now during 4:30, between 4:30 4:35, and we hear that alarm, we all know that it's count time, and that's an alarm check. They're just making sure that everything's working in order because there's alarms every day in this prison. You know, I think there was already like one this morning. One C-yard went off this morning, but it's constant right here. So being in a dorm, when it goes off, there's nowhere to retreat to. Where are you gonna go? You know, you don't even know. Honestly, I've been in riot streams where I don't even know who the hell I'm fighting. I just know that if I don't recognize them, I'm swinging. You know what I mean? And that's, it's just, man, I've gone after my own people before, but you just don't know.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I think about it. You know, I think about everything in the media. You know, you see all that stuff, Jess?
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
Why would people want to live like that? Live like this? What's the, you know?
Exactly.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, we go out of this cell, like, we don't know what the hell can happen at any time. We don't know if it's behind us, in front of us. Like, we got to tell you about this dumbass that went out the other day, James, like a couple days ago.
Okay.
Complete imbecile.
But,
yeah, I'll give you a call back right now. I'll give you guys a little...
Another thing that I want to ask you too is, well, when you come back, maybe you could shed some light, because you know how you mentioned earlier on that you were running to these individuals that you knew since childhood, and they wanted to change their life. If they didn't participate in a riot, what would happen to them?
Oh, they're getting plugged. They would have got plugged by me. So, yeah, but yeah, I will.
Okay.
I will. I'll call you back right now.
All right. So, so I'm back home, as you guys could tell from the backdrop and whatnot. It was pretty uneventful flying back into the country. And for those of you guys, I know somebody put that they're gonna be going to that they're gonna be going to Jamaica. Definitely recommend using that app, Mobile Passport Control. Download it before you leave, so like that you have it ready as soon as you land. And you could scan your passports into the app already. You just got to put in what airport you're going to be landing in, and it's going to be a breeze. As long as your passport is participating in it. And here we go.
Esta es
This call
Global
is now being
Telling.
recorded.
Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
5.
Gracias por utilizar Global Tel-Link.
Hello.
James. Yeah. No,
Hey.
if it was like, see, it all depends. Yeah, go ahead.
So we got 90s YA baby in here. He writes, "What's up, guys? Tapping in. Much love and shout out to the homie James. Hey, gracias. Highly appreciate that."
That's cool, man. We send ours. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Send mine to the boy.
Yeah, we send ours to him. It's on me right there. So no, it all depends, James. Like, so, for instance, right? It depends on the persona. It depends on the person. Like, there's a lot of favoritism in prison. That's just what it is. Like, if I saw, like, for some reason, like, my boy Jess was trying to get his life on track, and I respect him, and I seen him, like, running for the fences, trying to get away and just trying to be out the way, he's going to board and shit, I would lie. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I saw the homie fucking jump on, like, 3 people. But the thing is that wouldn't have happened with us, though. Back in our day, we would have been right there. We probably would have incited the issue, but it's just, you kind of just go and you do your thing, but there's people that, remember, the older generation of the gang, they terrorized the youngsters. Them dudes got attitudes. Them dudes were always trying to make us fight with each other. Them dudes were putting extras on it. They had that whip, like, all freaking, their mustache all freaking big, and them fools were like
James's?
Yeah, not bigger than James's. You know what I'm saying? Like, James's would have like a little, he would have like a little.
James looked like a baby mustache.
Little baby mustache, yeah. James would have like one of them little, like.
If their mustache gave birth to a mustache, it would be James's mustache.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like James's mustache is like Gomez Adams compared to those little chefs. You know, the little pencil stash. But so that's the thing. And so you get to prison and you're like, hell yeah, I'm here with the older homie. And you see this fool, like, I'm telling you, I've seen it. You see him and they're like, damn, this fool's a straight freaking tecato. This fool's like, he's a dope fiend. He's like scaleless. He's hella scary. Like, you know, like, then they're scared of you. Like, that's what I noticed too. Like, I'm over here like rolling with the youngsters and putting in work and doing things, and they're just kind of like trying to stay away from us. Like, we're doing too much. And it's like, dude, like, yeah. So I don't respect people like that. You know, I don't know, and only because it's like, man, these people do a gang of damage to the youth. These are the examples that we follow out there. Everything they're pretending to be. And we end up very lonely when we make it to the top. You know, that's just what it is. We end up with complete strangers that, you know, we find our own different family. The real knuckleheads, the real soldados, like, we're all together like a little unit, you know, that are just, and they're all young. Like, a lot of dudes that were like putting in work were real young. The prison population is growing now. People are, you know, we're aging. We're all in our 40s. Notice, Jess, that everybody's in their damn 40s right now? Mm-hmm. Freaking weird, huh? Yep. We did this shit our whole freaking lives, wasted our lives, and we're all sitting in prison in our 40s doing life. That shit don't make no sense.
Hey,
I'm going home. Fuck this place.
Yep.
That's right. Hell yeah.
Right.
As you should.
Yeah.
As you should. You know, you spending enough time in that place already.
Yep. I'm gonna have to hit a full like 20. Probably have to hit 20, 21 years, which isn't that long, you know, compared to the 40 years I was sentenced to. But I got about 5, 6 more until I hit my 20 mark. And yeah, this is a waste of existence. It was all a lie.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I'm gonna go out to Brooklyn, look for my boy, you know, Southside BK, and be like, hey man, you know what I mean? I'm looking for this little tour on a big body Benz. Yeah, which what you got?
Hey, so Matt is asking. Matt, he wants to hear the story from the other day. You know how right before we got cut off.
Oh man, you want to tell Shy Boy's story, Jess? You want me to tell it?
Oh no, go ahead.
I'm pretty descriptive. So this freaking idiot, right? I don't know what he was. We know.
Mind you, I've known this dude. This dude he's talking about. I've known him for years. I've known him since like 2008. And he, you know, he's a good dude. You know, he just lost his mind. You know, he used to be a stone cold savage. You know, he with the business, with the shit. You know, represented everything that everybody else was supposed to be representing at that point in our lives. And you know, unfortunately for him, he was still lost in the sauce and still, you know, so he lost his mind. But go ahead.
He got around a bad influence from out there in the world. You know what I mean? Out there in your guys' world. And so it was a female, but it's not her fault. You know, that's the thing. She's doing what she's doing, and he's doing what he's doing. So that's just what it comes down to. You know, it's not her fault that this happened. Maybe she contributed to, you know, his mentality and his thought process, but he got on something he should have been doing in here. You know, he was on a sick one, man. And it looked like it was that go fast, you know? And so he wasn't really like built for that stuff. Nobody really is, you know, but at least a lot of us that I don't use, Jesse and I, we've been clean for years. But, you know, when we did it, we were on it since we were kids, you know, so we were kind of used to it. Our mind didn't kind of go there. It went like a whole different dark place, you know. But this guy started thinking that people were plotting on him, started coming out like, you know, we all heard it, kind of just keep an eye on him. You know, he doesn't look like he's stable. They opened dinner the other night. He's on our tier. And I came and told Jesse, I was like, hey, I don't know about this dude. You know, I think he's going to do something right now at dinner. Sure enough, we hear that damn alarm. They're opening the door. Yep. They opened that side, you know, like I said, he's on our tier. He was kind of on the other side of where we live, but he was like, it was in our area. So I guess he comes out of the cell. And we looked down there, so we seen what he was wearing. Like, we could see out the side of the door. He comes running out of the cell with a hot pot, right, full of lukewarm water. I don't know if he thought the water was boiling, like he was on tweaker time or something, you know, where he boiled it, like, and sat there thinking the door was opening any second, but it was like an hour. This fool This fool runs out, right? He runs to the biggest dude. I mean, there's one other dude that's probably bigger than him on the yard, than Monster,
Yeah.
but the one over there in one block.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking these dudes, James.
Is that his name, Monster?
That's what they call homeboy right here.
Yeah, but what's the other dude?
I forgot.
Ding dong.
Yeah, he's a ding dong. But this dude is like 6'8", at least. What do you think? You think he's 6'8"?
Monster?
Yeah.
Give him about 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah, he's that big. Like, this dude is like basketball player, 6'8".
And not lanky 6'8".
No.
This is a big boy.
He's built like a freaking machine. Like, yeah, this dude's big. He's probably got to be over 300 pounds, that dude's size.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I give him easily 283.
Yeah. So, this guy, who's not this tall, that guy's probably 5'10", 5'9",
Yeah.
runs out of his...
5'8", 5'7"?
Yeah, 5'8", 5'7", runs out of his cell, and he was built for war. He had like his neck wrapped, like he was ready for the slasher, you know, because he's built like back in the day schooling, like he was built for a full-blown slashing, right? Like he was protecting his jugular. So he had a tail wrapped around his neck, strategically placed, right? He had probably like 2 pairs of clothes, like of long sleeves on. Sweatshirt, long sleeves. He had the beanie on. I can guarantee you this dude probably had his face oiled for the pepper spray, because people will put grease on their face to try to, like, I think it would make it worse, honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but he had the beanie on. He had the freaking multiple layers of clothing on, and he had freaking Access and Walking Horse, which are package catalogs, taped around his waist. He was freaking like, he came up with a saran wrap and wrapped it around his waist and wrapped a bunch of catalogs because he was like protecting himself from gut shots.
He believed in his mind that this guy was out to get him, and this other guy didn't have a clue what he was talking about.
He did not know. This dude over here, he's out the way. This dude is not. They called him Monster before, but he could, I forgot what his real name is. But Joel, huh? Is that his name? Yeah. Joel, yeah. He's just trying to do his thing and go home and go to school, and he's a big dude. So, but anyway, this dude's tweaker mind put it in his brain that this dude was gonna freaking like Friday the 13th him or something, like 'cause the way he was dressed. And anyway, he runs out of the cell, runs over to Monster's cell. Monster comes out to dinner, like, whoop de doo, you know, he's going to go to dinner. The door opens. He's got this madman in front of his cell, swings a hot pot at him full of lukewarm water. The water flies all over him. And then he whips his hand back, and the hot pot goes flying off the top tier. And so we hear a big old crash, like, he hits the ground, right? And this fool throws a bunch of punches that weren't even close to landing. He freaking air fights, right? And then he runs back to his cell and closes his door.
Yeah, it was definitely weird.
That was super weird. So they come and get him, obviously. They hit the alarm, and freaking homeboy Monster is right there just standing there kind of confused, you know, like, damn, what the fuck was that?
What the hell?
Yeah.
The next was due for 6 months. I ain't never said one word to him.
Yeah. Never talked to the guy.
Yeah, never talked to the guy, and all of a sudden he comes out swinging hot pots and air biscuits at me. What the fuck's going on around here, man? These people done lost their damn mind.
And the funny part is when they walked him down the stairs and took him away, he walked down like he did his thing.
Oh, yeah, he walked down. He had his head
held high, like, I did that. Like, you know, like, we were looking at him like a freaking madman. Like, hey, what the hell happened? He's a solid dude.
Yeah, no, but that's that stuff though. That's why they didn't want people messing with it on the main line, stuff like that, because that shit makes your brain soft. You know, it starts making, if you got something going on in your head, it magnifies it so much so that it just makes you into a hot mess.
Mhm.
Hey, so
it was a trip to see that.
So with Monster, since he was the one being assaulted, does that affect him in any way?
Yeah.
No, because they got cameras everywhere now.
We're lucky we got them cameras here. They saw the whole thing.
Yeah, they seen it. They came in. They was like, "What's going on here?" They took him to program. They probably won't even write him up.
Nah, he said he didn't get a 115.
No.
Yeah. I asked him this morning.
Yeah, and then the other guy had left, went to another building, and then left the next day.
But he went, after crying at his door?
Yeah, he went bonkers.
He went bonkers. They said he was at the door crying.
my life is over.
Yeah, but that's full blown, like, lost it, man. And that makes you hurt for him, though, kind of, huh?
Yeah, definitely. You can empathize with somebody in that situation because it's like, man, that just goes to show, like, that stuff's real. Whatever they're putting in that stuff, whatever's going on, anybody that says that it's not doing anything to you, man, this dude was a solid dude. He's been down forever, been down for like 27 years, you know, been doing this forever, you know, and quiet cat, keeps to himself, didn't really mess with a lot of people, you know, just I was on Sea Yard with him right here, and he actually blasted somebody over there. He actually stabbed somebody over there, but it was just business.
The crazy part, though, is that that's what was going on. That's what's happening in all of our minds. We all think that, you know, but we're really strong people. We just fight it. We fight it down, we choke it down, and it goes away. And it's there, though. Like, that's somebody like that, come on. He's been in prison for 27 years, you know, and it's like, there's a part of you, like Jesse, right here, my boy right here. This is my boy right here, Jesse. Been in prison for 24 years. You know, think about that. That's decades. I'm at 15 years myself. But in the grand scheme of things, I think about it, and I'm just like, damn, like, what did I do to my life? My life is like, my nephews are getting older. My family, I lost my grandparents. You know, they're dead. My mom is older. It's like, man, like, really, like, is all this worth it? Huh?
Don't tell her that.
Yeah, my mom thinks she's Kim K. Yeah, but the thing is good for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
good for her. But that's what the reality of
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
We live in a damn time capsule. And we're just surrounded by freaking just madness. It happens all the time. Like, about what you just hear about Homeboy and freaking Corcoran.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell? Like,
you know, I was talking to my homeboy last night. He's in.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
And you had some dude right there come into the visiting room, drunk as hell into the visiting room, falls off the chair with his kid in his lap, and then just straight boards up, like, cell abstraction, the visiting room, all fucked up. You know, made a spectacle of himself in front of his mom, his kid, his wife. Like, what's going on in your head that you went out to visiting room so fucked up that you did something that stupid in the visiting room? You falling off your chair with your kid on your lap. You hadn't seen his mom in a long ass time, and this is how you pay her up.
It's so dysfunctional, huh? Like, even for the kid, like, imagine being that kid growing up, like,
oh yeah,
telling this story.
Yeah.
James, we're gonna give you a call back. Sure, you got questions.
Yeah. And then we got M-Star Media. She just dropped some messages on here, so I'll read them off right now when you guys call back.
That's the one girl right there. Yeah. Happy Mother's Day.
All right. And then 90s YA Baby, I believe he did. I think he mentioned it to me maybe like a month or two ago. So, yeah, I believe he is aware of Mario catching that new 187 case. But I'll read it off to him when he calls back. And how's everybody doing today? Hey, it's Sunday. It's Mother's Day. Man, I didn't even know it was Mother's Day. Like, we got back, and I was like, man, I should have prepared for this before we got back. I definitely dropped the ball on this one.
Esta es Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
I took her to breakfast,
Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
I recovered. Hello.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we got M-Star Media. She wrote salute James, Jesse, and David. Happy Mother's Day to your ladies, gentlemen, and then she also wrote Happy Mother's Day to the ladies in the chat.
Yep, Mother's Day, all you guys. That's cool.
We send ours to M-Star and her dude.
Yep.
Always.
My homeboy.
You did something good for Mother's Day for your rock.
He's one of ours now, Jesse.
Yeah, he's one of ours now.
He started out a little shaky, you know what I mean? He was, you know.
It was touch and go, but she got him down here.
Yep, he was a little flamed up for a minute, you know what I mean?
She got him down there. Hey, you know what, though? If there's ever If there's ever a good reason to sell out, it's a woman.
It's a woman.
Yeah. If there's ever a good reason to sell out, it's a woman. So I'm not going to hold it against you.
I would have a San Francisco 49ers jersey on for my girl.
Yeah,
my wife, my love.
For sure. Yes. If my wife was from Frisco and she said, "Hey man, you're gonna have to give up this scrap stuff if you want to be with me," I'll be like, "Well,
all right.
Let me tell you what you have that they don't have."
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's gold here.
Yep.
Yeah. I know I've subscribed to this gang stuff my whole life, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I also understand about the birds and the bees.
Yep, you win.
Yeah, you win. So tell me, where do I sign up for this
Frisco business?
Yeah, where do I sign up for this Frisco business? Because I'm done. So don't feel bad, Max. Don't feel
bad, man. We feel your pain.
Yeah, she got you.
Man.
Yep.
She wrote, let me see, the fella sent me a very
What else
sweet,
you got for us?
you sent her a very sweet message this morning.
Okay.
I'm assuming it was a Mother's Day message. And then
Sure.
Yeah, we hit her.
And then we also got a message from a 90s YA baby. He wrote, Jesse, did you hear about your co-defendant catching a new 187?
Yep, sure did. Blew me away. But that's what happens and I think you know better than anybody when we get our freedom back and we didn't have to earn it. You know, when they just let us out of here, it's hard for us to appreciate what freedom is. And that's what happened with him. He got out after all that time, didn't have to earn his freedom. They let him out through court, and he got out there to the streets. And he was out there for a while. I'll give him that. He was out there for about 5 years. But yeah, he's back and he's done. But yeah, for sure. I found out about it was just a few months ago. I mean, hopefully something will work out for him. But yeah, he wasn't the same person though. I was talking to my homie and his girl, and they were telling me that he had been going through a lot of different stuff. Prison fucked him up a little bit. So
think?
Yeah, you think 18 years in prison when you never been locked up in your life did something to you? He adapted to prison way too well. But he got out there and he ended up stabbing him. The crazy thing about it is the dude that he murdered was just a regular, he was like a musician guy. It wasn't like a gangster. It wasn't like a, somebody that was, living that life. But yeah, I heard about it, man. It sucks. I feel bad for him. One thing I will do though, and I've told my cellie and everybody that when I get out of prison, I'm going to take care of him, because when he was out on bail the first time, he took care of me. He was out on bail for almost 2 years. I think you remember that, Truz, when he was out the first time. So he looked out for me. He took care of me and stuff like that. And not only that, he took care of me. He did a lot of stuff for me while he was in here. So I'm not going to leave him hanging. Not to say I'm going to be supporting him for the rest of his life and all that stuff, but I'm definitely going to stay in touch with him, and every now and then bless him with a little something here and something there, because truth be told, I take full responsibility for almost ruining that man's life. Essentially, a lot of the decisions he had to make himself, but the reality of it is, if it wasn't for my decisions and my choices, he would have never came to prison. He didn't have nothing. He had nothing to do with the crime that I committed that brought us here to prison. He was in the wrong place, and I put him in the wrong place at the wrong time. So
I was just laughing because you said almost ruined his life. Like, I think 18 years is sufficiently ruined.
Yeah, no, for sure.
He completely destroyed his life.
For sure. No, but at the end of the day, he also made plenty of choices while he was here.
Yeah.
That he could have went the other way. He could have did what he had to do. I even asked him to testify against me in the end, so that he could get a deal to go home, because I didn't want my other co-defendant to get a deal.
Yeah.
Because my other co-defendant was my actual crimey. We planned this crime for months, and I didn't want to see him get off, and the dude who had nothing to do with this crime have to spend the rest of his life in prison.
Yeah.
And so I was asking him, like, look, fool, I'm asking you, take this deal, dog. They'll give it to you before him, because you didn't have nothing to do with this crime. And I'm telling you, like, don't worry about it. I got you. And he was just like, nah, I'm not going to be responsible for anybody doing life, you or him. I just don't want no part of that. Like, it is what it is. We'll take our chances. And he went to trial separate, and he got washed up. But fortunately for him, he got out on the felony murder rule, which is a law change. If you weren't the actual perpetrator of the crime, and you didn't actually contribute to your part didn't actually contribute to the crime happening, they cut him loose. And so they cut him loose after about 18 years. And again, he didn't have to earn it, so he didn't appreciate it. And when he got back out there, he did what he had to do. And I think you understand that too, Trubs, if you are listening, because you ended up pimping the system for double hot one. You know, and look how quick it took you to come back for another one. You know what I mean? I was just like, damn, my boy's back already. That shit blew me away. But we know how that goes. You know, when we're living that life, we're not even thinking that far ahead. Nobody really cares. You know, at that point, we weren't. I know you weren't. I know you've been a fool your whole life. You know what I mean? So I already know what it is. But and that's how all of us were. You know, so it's understandable. But now being here, it's probably like, damn. You know, we start to grow up, you start to grow out of that shit a little bit. I know I did. You know, I got to a place, it's like, man, what am I doing? You know, I'm 44 years old, you know, and thank God it's now, you know, because it wasn't until I was 39 years old till I started to see the light a little bit like, man, what am I doing? I was doing the same things in here at 39 years old that I was doing in juvenile hall at 13 years old. You know, just, and so it was just, I mean, a lot worse, actually.
You know, I always say that, too. It's like, man, I decided to become a gang member at 13 years old. What kind of 13-year-old knows what's going on in their life? You know what I mean? Like, I'm making impulsive decisions, but that's when I got jumped in. And I think about it, it's like, man, I got jumped into a gang at 13 years old, and I'm still riding on that decision. In my 30s.
Hey, you know what, too, though, real quick, not to jump off of. I do got to give my boy Trubs a shout out though, because he laced me up a little bit, because he was pro per. I don't know if you knew that he represented himself in a double.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah, and he started.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
He was actually pro per. James, my boy, the one that you're talking to, Trubs. He represented himself too for. Yeah, and so but yeah, he ended up winning and going home. But he gave me some of the game that I used in my own trial when I actually represented myself.
All right. And where did he get? Like, how was he able to come up with being able to represent himself? Did he learn from somebody else also, or was he hitting that law library?
He was hitting the law library. I mean, when you're not a dummy, the reality is most of us aren't dummies. There are a lot of dumbass dudes in here, but when you're not dumb, you just act dumb most of your life. When you get put in a situation, you got your back against the wall, there's nobody going to fight for you like you. You know, and that's just the reality of it. Most of the situations we put ourselves in, we got into bad situations, we put ourselves in them. And so a lot of us, you know, we had that mindset, it's like, man, nobody's going to get me out of this but me. And that applies to all aspects of our life. And like for him, you know, he got in that situation. And really, literally, that was the situation with him. You know, he actually, they tried to set him up, you know, and he ended up actually taking the gun from them. And he ended up popping 3 people in the car. 2 of them didn't make it, and you know, somebody else. But if he wouldn't have did what he did, you know, they were actually going to try. They were trying to take him out. And so that's why he got off, you know, essentially. But sitting in, you know, they're not trying to hear any of that, because there's, you know, the only witnesses, you know, are somebody who actually was perpetrating the crime against you. So what do you think they're going to say about you, you know? And so it was a bad situation, and it was him and another person, you know, and his word against theirs, and 2 of them are gone already, you know, and so. But he realized, you know, he's like, man, I'm not going to be sitting here with no public pretender. You know, I got to fight. I got to fight for me. And again, he saw.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And he was doing his thing, and ultimately it worked out in his favor. I don't remember if he actually took it to trial like I did, if he actually represented himself to trial, but I know he did most of his preparation leading up to trial. And again, he beat his case and went home.
He also wrote, he just wrote a comment on here. He said, "You're right. We get out without insight."
Yep.
Right.
And that's the crazy part. Like, for us to get out of prison as lifers, we got to really do a lot of work, James. Like, you have to really look inward. You have to answer those questions. Like, okay, well, why did I think that it was acceptable to join a gang at 13 years old? What kind of 13 years old? You know, 13-year-old does something like that. And even with Jesse right here, 17 years old, like, he didn't just do that. He was a 17-year-old kid that was already out of the system. Jesse had already been to prison, which is juvenile prison. The California Youth Authority is prison. You know, and it's like, all right, so this 17-year-old kid was already plotting to be paid to take somebody's life. He was a freaking hitman at 17 years old. So the board, they want to know how the hell that happened. You know, how do you become a hitman at 17 years old? Well, he has to be able to answer those questions. And so, or he's not gonna get out of here. What they're worried about is the same circumstances that contributed to him becoming that hitman at 17. How do we know that that's not going to surface again? How do we know that you're not going to feel the same insecurities? How do we know you're not going to feel the same triggers, the same pull for addiction, the same need for acceptance, the circumstances and factors that led him to becoming this freaking monster at 17 years old? How do we know that that's not there today? How could you show us? What's your objective truth? What, you know, how could you tell us? I need something of substance. I need to know, okay, one, I need something that I can see. I need something that I can compare and contrast. And I need you to tell me why you feel that this is no longer who you are and that you're no longer a threat to public safety. That's how lifers go home, when you can answer those questions. You can genuinely answer those questions. The board, they're paid big money, man, to look through freaking manipulators. They deal with manipulators every single freaking day for hours. Everybody that has ever done any real time was brought up on manipulating. That's what it is. We manipulated our way through the system. As kids, people taught us. We didn't even realize that's what we were doing. It was just a course of action. We just did it. We wanted an outcome. We made it happen by any means necessary. So how are they like, okay, well, what's your outcome? You want to go home. What are you doing? You're doing all these groups because you want to go home? Or are you really internalizing what you're learning?
Well, it's funny because that's what the commissioner actually told me at my last hearing. She said that, excuse me, she said we need more distance between, you know, all this negative behavior in these hearings, because we need to know that you're not just doing this for board. You know, and I understand where she's coming from 100%, but the irony in that is getting out of prison would have never been enough, because what people don't understand, when you're consumed by this life and you're consumed by all those flaws that Dave mentioned earlier that could possess some 17-year-old kids to commit these violent acts and go through life committing these kind of acts and just being malicious and reckless and impulsive. When you're living that and you're consumed by that, there's no amount of freedom. Like, freedom is not even something you're thinking about. Like, all my time in here, I never considered freedom. It was just not, like, it wasn't until my wife came into my life and started putting it in my head. But I used to literally, like, try to brainwash myself out of it. Like, man, I'm not trying to hear that. Like, when I would be out in the visiting rooms or I'm in the space with my wife sharing space, I would, that was my fantasy, but it was a fantasy because I was serving life without the possibility of parole. I was never going home, and the reality is I didn't want to do anything that was going to make you start to second guess or half step the life that I was living, because that can be dangerous. That can get you hurt. You could start making, you know, decisions and start, you know, doing some things that could put you in.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
I was married to this game. Like, this was my life. You know, I knew I was going to die in here, so I was going to make the best of it, you know, as far as I was concerned while I was here. And so when the commissioner told me that, I had already been into my recovery, a couple years into my recovery, almost 3 years. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, you just don't know. Like, the reality of it is, they're getting out of prison. That was always an option. Getting out of prison, once I got my LWOP taken off in 2000. When did I get my LWOP taken off? In 2013, I got my LWOP taken off. And I didn't turn my life around until 2020. So all that time, if getting out of prison was the motivation, then I could have turned my life around back then. You know, the reality for me was I got tired of hurting the people who I knew loved me and were doing this time with me. And I got tired of being the person that I was. Like, it just became exhausting. But you want me to call you back, James?
Yeah, for sure. And all right, so they'll go ahead and call back right now. When they call back, I'll go ahead and ask them your question, Megan. You want to know if they're going to be out, will they be out soon? So in California, and I'm not sure if you're from the United States, because we do get a lot of people from the UK, but in the United States, or not in the United States, because every state has their own laws. So in California, they were sentenced to, Jesse was sentenced to 25 years to life. So what that means is he has to go in front of the parole board, and the parole board will determine whether he's suitable to be released, you know, for parole. So he is going to be going to the parole board at the end of this year, December of 2025. So if all goes well for him, he should be out by summer of 2020, 2026. It's not an immediate release. Once they find you suitable, you have to wait 150 days. And after the 150 days, if there's no issues, then they'll go ahead and release you on parole. And then they have to be on parole for either between 1 year to 3 years. And then, but if they violate parole during that time they're on parole, they'll go back to prison and they reinstate their life sentence. If that makes any sense. And I'm Star Media and Mad Max, if you're on here right now, I'm going to let them know that that you guys are stepping out. How many times can you go for parole? You could go up to parole forever. There is no limit on how many times you go up to in front of the parole board.
Esta es
This
Global
call is now
Telling.
being recorded.
Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello.
James.
Hey, so hello. So I wanted to let you guys know that Mad Max tapped in and he had sent his saludos to you guys.
We shouldn't understand.
And then
everything we said about Frisco and things like that.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you did.
Whatever these vatos say that we said, you know how prison is. You know, it's only half true and whatnots, and you know.
Hey, tell him so he feels better that M-Star. The only reason she recruited him is because things were getting bad down here. We needed some good blood. We needed some new blood. Yeah, we needed some new blood. We needed something. We needed something solid because the South was getting pretty bad.
We got this Otani character with the Dodgers, and there's a lot of uncertainty going on. You know what I mean? So we're willing to accept a Frisco fan under extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah. So basically, he's doing us a favor. Yeah.
You know? We won't tell anybody, with the exception of like the entire world that's listening to this.
So he said he is actually just M-Star that was heading out. Mad Max said he's in here listening, cooking dinner.
Oh, that's
right.
Cool.
That's right. Chow time.
Yep. I want to know what's for dinner.
Yeah. Don't start talking food around Dave.
What are we eating?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but what I was telling you though, James, basically the commissioner, that's what she wanted, and she just wanted to see that what I was doing, you know, that this stuff was sincere, genuine, that I had internalized it, and I wasn't just going in there presenting and putting on because I wanted to get out of prison. And that's understandable, and that's why they gave me the 3-year denial, and that's why I'm going to go back at the end of this year. God willing, it'll be time to go. I've done everything they asked and much, much more. So they just wanted time, and when I go in there this time, I'll have 6 years from my last write-up, and so almost 6 years, so I think I should be all right.
How long you been off of dope, too?
No, I'm
pretty close?
Yeah, it's basically the same year, so 2020.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Cold turkey.
So, yeah, when I go to board, it'll be 6 years. My clean time, my write-up time, and my clean time are the same. Except I did have a little party on my 40th birthday. Got drunk, got lit, got sauced.
You did.
Yeah, that was the last time. That was the last time though that I messed around with anything, because it was just like I actually felt guilty the next day, and I was kind of like, hold on, what's going on here? I've never felt guilty about drinking.
Well, the way that he justified it probably was like, well, this is the birth date of my sobriety, so who doesn't get blitzed on the birth date of their sobriety?
Yeah, and it was just, yeah, exactly. And I was just like, oh, I've been doing good. You know, I'm not getting high no more. I'm doing good. I'm staying out of trouble. I'm serious about doing good. So why should I not be able to reward myself with some pulque?
That's how the addict mind, James. That's how it works.
Exactly the addict mind.
Yep, it taps in. You know what's crazy is addiction will always tell you the perfect thing.
Yeah.
Like it whispers it in your ear right when you're not when you least expect it, and if you're not aware of it, then it's easy to relapse.
Yeah, that's why when the next day afterwards, I thought about it, and I was just like, damn. Here, you know, I didn't see. I got out of the hole in April, I think April or something like that. May, out of May. June, July, August. So I had 3 months that I had been doing real good. And to me, that was a big thing, you know?
Yep, my clean date, James, is December 19, 2018.
That's my anniversary.
Yep,
So
it's
now
on
I gotta
Jesse's
celebrate
anniversary.
Dave's sobriety date. I'm
Yep.
gonna get drunk.
That's, yeah.
My anniversary and Dave's sobriety date, that's big stuff right there. Except now we celebrate with food.
Yep, that's it. I always celebrate with food, James. We're talking about, like, right now I want to celebrate Max cooking at home with food.
Hey, Mad Max wrote a dope fiend
Once you know
mentality.
that. Yeah.
I was like that for decades.
Yep, it's crazy how it. Hey, you want to know something, James? All right, so when I quit, right, I told you that I still live with an active user.
Yeah,
Did I tell you that?
I believe
2
so.
active users, matter of fact. I quit I quit with 1 active user in the cell. He moved out. I was single cell for about 2 weeks, and they brought in another active user right out of a fight full of pepper spray. And hey, he was a cool dude. And this dude, man, he was a mover, he was a shaker, you know. And I was already like confident in my sobriety. So not really, but I was more confident in my stubbornness because I didn't have a lot of clean time at that time. But I was still clean. I had made a decision. So he ends up, like, my thing was at Go Fast, you know. Like, I liked it. I was a tweaker. I liked that energy per se. And this dude, I used to do the that slow down stuff. I used to do that too, right here and there, but it was mostly just a crutch when I didn't have anything else, you know. And I was a very, very I was a hardcore addict. So when this dude moved in, he had a little bit of that Go Fast with him, and I was already like that right there. Though my body was my mind was firm, but my body was like giving it like my addiction. Like I started to like feel it. My stomach started to rumble a little bit. I started to like shake a little bit, but I was able to move past it, you know. So I was good. I felt like I was confident that I was able to withstand that. So then I was like, well, I didn't really know what recovery looked like. So I was like, well, this fool gets high. That's his problem. Like, I don't give a shit. I ain't the police, you know. And so that's how I thought about it. That's his business. So I had a conversation with them, just told him to just keep that shit to himself. Like, I don't care. Just mind his own, you know. Don't involve me with none of that bullshit, you know. And he was all right with that. So I freaking threw my back out. Like, I threw my back out bad. Like, this sucker, man, it hurt. And it was like the devil, James. Like, the devil freaking was in the cell that time because this fool, right when I threw my back out, this fool had a bunch of that black.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
He had a lot of it. He had a bunch of it, you know, and it's, you know, that black is like, you know, that the opioid stuff, you know. And so he was, okay, so I was using the restroom, so I closed the curtain, like we had like a sheet hanging up for privacy. And I was like cleaning up over there, but I was moaning and groaning, and when I did that, he used it as an opportunity to use the desk on the other side of the curtain, so I wasn't like around it, and he started cutting up like stuff to sell, you know. And I'm like, every freaking time I moved, I was like, ooh, you know, like, yeah, like it was bad, you know, like I pulled something bad. I have a herniated disc, so it was hurting, but just like the voice of the devil, he was like, Dave, he's like, look, man, and he's not looking at me. He's on the other side of the curtain, so it's just a voice. He's like, Dave, you know what I got? You know, nobody would fault you. He goes, I see you in here. I see you're doing good. I see you're trying, but I see you're in pain. And right here, everything you're going through, this could take it away. He goes, nobody would know but you and me. And he goes, to be honest with you, people probably think you're getting high anyway because you're in here with me.
That's some pretty sound logic.
He's you know
what, you're right, let's go.
Yep. And then I was like, man, this is like a now or never moment, you know. And then I just told him, I was like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, you know.
Thanks for letting me know. Now you gotta move.
No, I told him, look, I'm gonna say no, you know, and I'm gonna say no because I want you to know that it's possible. I use that as he told me that he still thought about that when I told him.
You know, if I could say no, you could say no one day. Under these circumstances, you know, and I just told him, when you're ready to clean up your life, I'm always going to be here for you, but I'm going to have to ride this out, you know. What's in the proxim?
Did you move out?
I did. And I moved out. I gave up my cell. That was I had a badass cell, dude. Like, you hear how we talk about these cells. Like, we hook them up. We find a place, we find a cell, and we just kind of like set up shop until we're done, you know. And that was my cell. It was in 201. I was in there for a while. It was in the corner. Nobody bugged us. And 201 in Calipatria, it's a level 4 270 yard. So it's got mesh doors. So 201 is like a privacy cell because everybody can look in your cell at all times in those cells. You know, it's just like you're on display like a zoo. So when I was in 201, I didn't want to be that cell. I didn't want to be like in a place where like the whole day room's looking at me and people just walk down and start talking to me, you know, from the day room and all that. So I made a decision, but that's also my recovery date. So December 19th, 2018 is the last time that I used. I stayed in that cell with them probably for about, I don't know, because I missed that one cell he left, and then this fool came in, but it was about a 6-month period. So my actual, like, not my usage date, but my recovery date, because I decided to move in with somebody that everybody in here freaking didn't trust and thought he was a cop, which he wasn't. But this dude was doing so good that nobody knew how to really process that. So I made a decision where I was like, you know what, I got to be around somebody like that, who I know he doesn't fuck around, you know, he's straight. But when that happened, I knew though that there was no going back. Like, you don't live with someone like that, and like he was my first mentor, and he was my sponsor. He helped give guidance to my recovery, taught me about CGA, taught me about a lot of stuff, which is Criminals and Gang Members Anonymous. But I knew though when I moved in there that I wasn't going to use cell phones anymore. I wasn't gonna sell nothing. I wasn't gonna do like things that were like, you know, immoral. I wasn't gonna fight no more, because I still wanted to mash people out in here. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, I'm clean off drugs. Like, don't ask me for nothing else.
Yeah.
And when I moved in there, though, it gave direction to my sobriety, to my recovery, and man, it's been years. It's been already like 6 years.
And it's funny that you say that too, Dave, because I had to make that same decision. That I had to move, and when he says that people think these guys are cops, it's because they work in the program office.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
He's a program worker.
Yep, and anybody, we all know, I mean, for those of you guys that are listening, if you have a program office job in prison, you're suspect. That's just what everybody, because who else would want to work at the police station?
Yeah.
You know, and so even the guys that we know are solid, you're still like, man, you got that stigma. You work in a program with the cops, I got to be careful with you. Ain't no telling, because that's just how it's been. You know, it's not reality. We know this now. There are dudes that go in there and they get all weird, and you know, and they're more worried about making friends with the officers than doing their
with
job.
The police, Jesse.
And so it's funny that Dave said that, because that's exactly what happened with me. I had to move in with the program worker. I had to move in with somebody that was questionable here on the yard. I had to just say, this is it. I'm going here. And if they look at, because I wasn't so far removed from all the criminal activity here, and everybody still trusted me. Everybody still talked their business with me. And everybody, it was just a thing. And so I said, you know what? If I move with this guy, I'm basically going to excommunicate myself from you know, the prison community, and so maybe I'll have the same stigma that this guy has. And it was a scary feeling, because, you know, I wasn't worried about anybody or anything like that, but it was just weird, like, man, well, you know, I'm doing recovery, I want to do good, but what are people going to think about me living with this dude? You know, he got this weird jacket, you know, we don't know what his story is, but we know, but I said, you know what, I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care what's going on here. I'm doing this for me. I'm going to move in with this cat. And as long as he stays out of my way, because it was a win-win situation, because the cops also told him, what are you doing living with that fool? What's the matter with you? And he's like, hey, man, you guys should know better. Yeah, they were telling the same thing that the fellas on the prison yard were trying to tell me. The cops were telling him the same thing. Like, hey, what are you doing living with that fool? What's the matter with you?
They asked him if he was sure. They told him, hey, you know, this dude's got all this stuff, you know, like.
Yep, exactly, same thing. And I even tried to move with another guy first who was definitely a federale around here, right? And they would not let him move in with me. And they were like, nope, because they were protecting him. But the other guy, they were like, you know what, go ahead. You know, he goes to program every day. So, but I didn't really care. I just wanted to move somewhere where I was going to be held accountable.
Yep,
and
that's what I needed too.
Yep, and I didn't care how.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
I was committed to doing the right thing, and I had been telling myself, well, you know what, I could be in recovery, but I'm only going to live with the homies. I'm only going to live with a convict, somebody that knows how to do time, woo, this, that, and the other thing. Good thing is that the cat that I moved with, he had been down for years. He knew how to do time. He was actually a great cellie, you know, like one of the best cellies I've had. And so it was cool. It was a cool arrangement, and it was critical for my recovery to solidify my recovery. And come to find out, he was strung out on Suboxone when I moved in there. I actually had to help him get off of Suboxone. You know? So it was weird, you know. But other than that, he was doing all right. You know.
Gonna hang up, James. Give you a call back.
Hey, yeah. So and then I got a few questions for you guys in regards to parole and what a level 4 is.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask you those 2 questions, and then we got Chubby Jessica. She's bringing the heat. So. Hey, come with your A game.
Chubby Jessica, I will.
We love you, Chubby Jessica.
All right.
All right. My apologies on the questions here. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to interject in the middle of these conversations. So I typically try to ask any questions during you know when we reconnect on these new phone calls. So for anybody just stepping in, these are live prison phone calls. These gentlemen are in California State Prison, and they're in a prison called Centinela State Prison. And so now I'll go ahead and ask them your question in regards to what a level 4 is, and then I'll go ahead and ask them that other parole board question that was asked. Then let me plug them back in.
Esta es Global
call is
Telling.
now being
Usted
recorded.
tiene
What
una
up, Taylor?
llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias
5.
por utilizar Global
Oh, that's so
Telling.
nice. Hello.
All right. Yep. What you got for us?
All right. So we got a question from Nana, and she's asking, what is a level 4?
So, the prison system is broken up into 4 levels. The minor offenders, like I see come in here for small time stuff, go to level 1. You get a little bit more time, you go to level 2. Level 3 is level 1s and 2s are generally dorm living, stuff like that. It's the security, that's how they classify the security of an institution. The 1s and 2s are generally dorms. Level 3 is cell living. Level 4 is maximum security. So there's 2 types of level 4s, which is a 270 level 4 and a 180 design level 4. The 180 design level 4s are generally the more violent of the level of the prison yards, and those are for guys that have gotten into so much trouble that there's really nowhere else to put them but those yards where they have to have you're under the gun constantly. The movement is really, really controlled, and even the facility's set up different. It's called a 180 degree design, where that's how they have the view. 270 level 4 is set up exactly the same as level 3, with the exception of they put a fence down the middle to divide the yard. 1 and 2 are on one side of the fence. 3, 4, and 5 are on the other. Those are the buildings. That's what it is. I left level 4 2 years ago, but I did most of my time on 180 level 4s, the shoe, and 270 level. I've been on 270 level 4s. That's it.
All right, cool. Thank you for that. And sometimes these questions, I assume that they might be from a different state or maybe outside the country, so they might not understand these prison talks when it comes to like levels or things of that nature. We had another question from Abby, and she was asking, how many times can you go to the parole board?
As many times as it takes you to figure it out. They can deny before they denied you, unconditionally. Going to board was just a formality. It didn't matter. You weren't getting out of prison. No matter what you were doing, you went to the board, they were going to hold you. Now it's completely different. Now they have what's called a structured decision-making format. And it basically, what that is if you cross all the T's and you dot all the I's, and you've done everything that you have to do to come in there and present yourself as no longer posing a future risk to yourself or society, then the commissioners are inclined to give you a chance to go back out into society and earn society's trust again. But again, they can deny you still as long as you're not doing what you're supposed to do. If you don't have insight, you don't have solid parole plans, you don't have relapse prevention plans, you don't have a certain amount of time clean without disciplinary reports here in prison, which are called 115s. What else do they require?
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
You have to be able to take responsibility and be accountable for everything that you've done in the past. You have to truly understand, like David was talking about earlier, how I became the kind of person that was willing to commit such a violent crime at such a young age. You have to let them know. You have to, and they don't want you to go in there and make excuses for why you did what you did. They want you to take responsibility. They want to know that you've done the hard, insightful work to understand what made you move back then, why you justified and rationalized making such horrible choices with your life. And they know that if you were able to come to a place where you understand it and you can be 100% responsible for it, then they know there's a good chance that you're not going to commit it again, because there's a thing called denial. When you're a criminal and you're in denial, you can't get to the place where they need you to be to get out of prison. And they know that. Like Dave said, they're trained professionals. And so for the most part, if you've done the hard work, you can't just stay clean and say, hey, I'm just not going to get in trouble and I'm going to go to board and they're going to let me go. No. You have to be able to go in there and explain to them, and not only how you became the person that you were before, but how can you assure them that you're not the same person, that you're not going to make, faced with the same kind of situations moving forward, that you have solid prevention tools, solid coping skills that are going to prevent you from making the same kind of choices that could harm yourself or anybody else in society. These people don't want to put their name on a piece of paper that's going to release you back out into society and then turn around and bite in the ass. Now, don't get me wrong, people slip through the cracks every now and then. But if you've done the work, there's a good chance that you're going to get out of prison. You're not going to come back. Long-term offenders, lifers, have less than 1% recidivism rate. Less than 1% of people that get out of prison after serving a life sentence come back to prison.
Less than 1%. That's a hugely successful number.
Absolutely.
People that are non-lifers, it's like a freaking 90% recidivism rate.
Yep.
Non-lifers, anybody that doesn't have to go through the parole board process to go home, comes back almost 90% of the time.
Yep.
That's an insane amount.
Horrible statistics right there.
Yep.
So yeah, you can go as many times as you need to go until they're confident. That there is one I have one critique about that process. I feel that we should be going to board in front of the same commissioner each time we go, because the reality of it is each commissioner has their own pet peeves. Each commissioner, you have conservative commissioners, you have liberal commissioners. Each one of them wants something different from you. But for the most part, if you cross all your T's and dot all your I's, you're good to go in front of all of them. However, they may be little twerks and little kinks that this commissioner won't have a problem with, but this one will. And that's the only problem that I have with the process. But I believe that as they're getting trained and as things get better and better with prison, they're leveling the playing field. So I think it's going to be all right for most people. I know it's going to be all right for me because I've done the work. I'm not worried about it. When they let me out of prison, they're going to let me out of prison because I got out of prison on my merits, and it's my time, for them to let me go. And like I tell people all the time, getting out of prison nowadays is not even the hard part anymore. The hard part is making sure you stay out of prison, and it's doing this work in here and preparing yourself for getting out that's going to keep you from coming back.
Yeah.
And if you have to completely shift your values, what's important to you have to completely change from the person that you were, the values that you had when you came to prison. And that's the difference,
Yeah.
For
Got
sure.
something else, James?
Yep. We got one. Well, I got two. I got one from Chubby Jessica, and then I got one from Taylor. So I'll go ahead and ask I'll go ahead and ask Chubby Jessica's question, and she's asking if there was technology like an app or video tool that could help your family understand the parole process better, especially in Spanish or with cultural support. What would you want it to have?
Virtual reality.
Virtual reality would be great.
That'd be nuts. It's the first time we even thought about that. See, she helps us think smarter.
Yep.
Her questions are so smart.
Yep, virtual reality, because
Imagine.
they could actually give the families tours through the processes. They could actually prepare with you on VR.
Hey, get out of here.
Beat it, nerd. And
We just yell at people when they walk by. That's how we know we're old.
yeah, we're get off my lawn, you damn whippersnapper. But definitely. I think VR would be awesome in the process.
That'd be crazy, huh? To like have our family see a prison, like come in and look at a cell and be like, all right, they're gonna come from this. Like the reality is, okay, your loved one is going from that. Look around the cell. This is what it is. This is the limitations that they have. What do you think they need to know going forward? You know, this is the things that we need from you to do. So I think that technology could be like, all right, well, realistically, the support. What kind of support are we going to need from them?
We need to get them to understand the process in its entirety, because there's one thing you tell a mother, you tell a sister, you tell a wife.
Yep.
As far as they're concerned, well, you know what, you're good. I know you now. It's time for you to come home. You've already done your time. That's the way they
do.
They don't understand the dynamics.
And they think he like, well, he ain't living with me.
Yeah, he ain't about to
like, what do you mean? I'm gonna write him a support letter, so I'm gonna be like, what? I'm gonna support him. This is like 40.
Yeah,
you know,
45 years old. Do I got to support this guy? I barely even spend the money now.
Something-year-old freaking, I'm not letting that drug addict live with me.
Yeah. I've known him since he was born. I'm his mother.
You know, my mom on the other hand, you know, my mom would be like, well, he's coming to live with me. She told my wife that a bunch of times. She's like, well, when David comes home, you know, I'll have the room available for him. And my wife's like, what do you mean? Like, we have our own place. Like, what do you mean? But so I think it would just be understanding what level of support is available to the loved one.
Yep.
What is it?
And getting them to view the process objectively, so that they know, like, hey, we understand you love your son. We understand that you feel he's changed, but you need to understand the genuine support that he's going to need. A lot of the family members are still out in the same world that we left.
Yep.
So you have to connect them to the understanding of who you're going to be when you get home, because they'll never truly be able to understand our transformation. That's not entirely true, because my sisters, they see it now. They're just like, man, Jess, they say it all the time. They're like, truly, you've always been smart. You've always been smart, and that's one thing. It's just you just acted dumb, you know, and now you're actually, you know, being the person that you were intended to be. But a lot of people, they don't have that. A lot of people is like, once they see them changing, it's like, oh, that's cool, man. I'm glad you're staying out of trouble and you're going to school and stuff. But so what are you going to do for work when you get out? You know, like they don't understand everything that went into the transformative process that's eventually going to help us obtain our freedom and successful after freedom. So to answer her question, I think it's getting them to truly understand the process and what it's gonna entail. Not to look at us from the perspective of a family member, of a friend, but what do they think somebody needs who they don't know that's going to be put back out into society?
I think I need to make sure that, you know, if it was somebody that was writing a support letter for me, being my mom, right, I would say, okay, hey, I understand that he has transitional housing where they're going to assist him in obtaining his documentation. Should there be any issues with that, I will take the time out of my day to make sure that he gets to the DMV, that he gets to...
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
If
remember too what she said cultural awareness as far as Spanish speakers as well. You got to remember, a lot of people's families out there, they're not really hip to...
Yeah, but just repeat everything I said in Spanish and we'll be good.
What if they themselves don't understand?
Isn't that how that works?
No. What if they themselves don't understand the legal process as far as.
No, that'll be, but there should be mediators. There should be like, did the 60-second thing come on? That damn lady's got me wound tight, dude. That robot lady.
Nah, she's about to come on in about a minute and 20 seconds.
All right, that's cool. She's got me wound tight, man. I'm all freaking, I don't know whether I'm coming or going. But yeah, no, and so for Spanish speakers, there would have to be a cultural understanding, though. You hear that lady that comes on in Spanish?
Yeah.
So anyway,
she understands the 60 seconds.
All right, so what's this Taylor business?
All right, so Taylor wants to know.
Taylor question you got for us?
So she's the one that asked that one. What was a level 4? So she's asking, what is the reality of health services in level 1 versus level 4, or in general?
Well, level 1, if you call for help, there's probably like a bunch of people around you that can really like ensure that, it's wide open spaces. Level 4, if you call for help, you'll be calling for a while. You pretty much gotta yell to your neighbor, call man down, and then you just go fall out. That's the difference. Yeah, they get here though. Like I time these incidents sometimes. Like these cops, they run like hell. That's probably because of the cameras, When they the way that they do health things, like emergency health, is you have to yell. You got to yell man down. Everybody knows what man down means. So you hear somebody calling man down, it's like a cadence. One person calls it, then you'll hear like another voice call it, and then you'll hear like 30 people yelling man down.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
And then that's just to get the tower's attention, and then the tower will like ask like, what cell, And then the cops will come out of the office and they'll go to the cell. They'll walk up there slowly. And then when they look in to determine that someone's having a medical emergency, they'll activate their personal alarms. And then you'll hear that sound. And then there's like a little ambulance that shows up in a beat-up looking van. Come blow you off.
And I think also, too, they actually might have more access for level 1s because they can take them other places because their security level's not as high. So they're not really worried too much about the level 1 escaping. So they could take them to more urgent care centers and things like that. They have access to, like, I'm not.
Hang up.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, James, I'm going to call back right now. I'm going to hang up.
All right, for sure. All right. So they should be calling back in the next few moments and whatnot. For those of you that are not aware, these calls are actually free. They could call anywhere in the world, and it's free $99, my favorite price. The California taxpayers are the ones picking up these phone calls. So if you're from California, oh no, let me see. Makes sense. So sad. Yeah, that's what it is. That's the reality of being in a California prison. So yeah, these are real phone calls. This is not AI generated. They only last 15 minutes, but like I said, once again, they are free, so can't beat that.
Esta es Global Telling.
This call is now
Usted
being
tiene una
recorded.
llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
5.
Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hey, thank you, Sue. Highly appreciate that.
James.
Hello, David.
What you got?
All right. So we got Taylor wrote, makes sense, so sad. All right, so next question is gonna be from Chubby Jessica once again, and she writes, what kind of help do people? She wrote prisoners in parentheses, and we'll just go ahead and go with incarcerated individuals, not to offend anybody. Let me see. So what kind of help do incarcerated individuals usually get? Sorry, hold on. What kind of help do incarcerated individuals usually give each other inside when it comes to parole? How do they incarcerated individuals share what they know?
We just talk nonstop. That's what we do.
We call it inmate Twitter.
Yeah.
No, we definitely, everybody, we have a community in here, and what we do is we order transcripts, we read transcripts of parole hearings, we talk constantly. You have to internalize all the information that you're learning when you're transforming your lives through the self-help programs, through the psychology classes that we're taking. You have to completely restructure your cognitive abilities, because everything about the way we've seen things and felt about things before was distorted, by the lifestyle we're living. So you have to completely rebuild everything, and we do that in constant conversation with each other. We talk about the board process. We randomly ask each other questions that the board will be asking, so that you're internalizing your answers and you understand what it is. And that's really all we have. We get lists from attorneys of questions and resources. A lot of them outdated. A lot of them are no good. You write to transitional homes and transitional housings, and a lot of them don't write back because they go out of business or this, that. It's basically, everything is word of mouth. A guy will get a support letter from one transitional housing and be like, hey, here's the address, and you'll write them. And as far as getting ready, for making your parole plans, really it's just word of mouth from people who have actually been there, and been denied. You talk about what got them denied. You talk about, when you read transcripts, you see what kind of things that the board is looking for in a rehabilitated individual.
Yeah, you got to be raw in your responses, though. You can't minimize.
No.
It sounds bad, but you got to be honest about the person that you were. You get this board question that's common. It's a common thing in here. What are your causative factors, that led to your life crime? And it's like, damn, like, what do you mean by that? Like, causative factors, like what caused me to do it? Like, I was motivated by drugs and greed. They're like, no, there's more to it than that, and I've come to realize, it's like, look, I committed the crime that I did, right, because I was a violent gang member and drug dealer who cared more about my status and reputation than I did about human life, period. What were contributing factors? Well, I was extremely greedy. I was motivated by greed. I was, there's all kinds of things, though, that, your character defects. What was a defect that was in play at the time? It's like, okay, well, how did you develop the belief that caused that defect? And you have to understand those things, because if you don't understand it, and it'll happen again.
Yep.
It's just what it is. You'll do it again.
Yep. You have to be able to recognize it, so that when it does resurface, you can identify it, and you can catch it, check it, and change it.
Yeah, I didn't have to. I'm here for selling a gun to somebody, and I ended up taking the life of the person who I was selling the gun to. And why was I doing that? I worked. No, I had a job. Yeah, I was living a criminal lifestyle. I was doing drugs and whatnot, but I didn't have to do that.
Were you selling sex?
I don't think I can even answer that question out here.
Okay, well, I'm just saying. I don't know.
The question is, the politically correct question is, were you a sex worker?
Yeah, okay. So were you a sex engineer? But were you a sex tech?
The answer is no. Not to say that.
Not to take nothing away from those sex techs that are out there doing what they're doing.
Doing what they're doing, technologically sexualizing and doing things like that. But
I was keeping the world at peace.
Yeah, no, I was doing bad things. Not on that level.
Okay, not that bad. Who am I, P. Diddy?
Yeah, no, I wasn't rolling around with a bunch of baby oil on me for kids. Anybody want to buy a gun or go to a party?
Anybody looking for a good time?
No. wasn't.
Or a pistol?
Yeah, or a pistol. We could just sell a pistol. But no, that's not what happened. I was an accident waiting to happen. I was a homicide waiting to happen. And if I didn't get taken off the streets when I did, I would have done it to somebody else. And I'm where I'm supposed to be because of the decisions that I was making out there. And that's just, there's no way to sugarcoat that. Should I be in prison and whatnot? Look, I'm a different person now. Do I believe I'm suitable for parole? Absolutely. I don't believe that I would hurt anybody else. Well, how do you know? Because I don't hurt any.
Yeah, every day I'm faced with the situation to hurt somebody in prison, and I choose not to.
Yeah, I haven't hurt anybody in prison in a long time. My last 115 was for, I got jumped by members of my former gang, and I fought back. So I got a write-up for that. But I was involved in a violent incident,
and that was the last thing, and that was January 1st, 2018. No, that was a long time ago. Before that, I was in something nonstop. Honestly, James, I don't even know. I can't even count on my freaking top of my head how many violent incidents I was in prison and county jail. It's a lot. And so when they ask, well, how do we know you're not the same person? I'm like, man, I wouldn't have I've gone 7 years, almost 8 years without freaking putting my hands on somebody. And I was involved in a violent incident of some way, shape, or form freaking every few weeks before, you know. It's obvious change. Something changed in my life.
He violently broke my wrist today on the volleyball court, just so you guys know.
I don't know if now that we're on the subject, I want you guys to know that I am an excellent volleyball player now.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I got
the whole thing and the whole pose. Go ahead. What you got?
I got a few more questions right here. We got one from Kay Larson, and Kay writes, "At what prison year did they realize they had to make changes in their life, or how many years did it take them to realize they needed to make changes?"
For me, it was into my life term. 5 years into my life term, I knew that. I want to say 6 years, because I was in the county for 5 years. I wasn't changing when I got out of the county. So about a year after I got out of the county, so 6 years into my term, I knew I needed to make a change in my life. Did I make a change in my life at that time? Absolutely not. But that's when I started we call it pre-contemplation. Well, we call it contemplation. Pre-contemplation is when you're just running wild. I started contemplating my change 6 years into my term. It took me about 8 years, a little more, before I actually kind of got confident in my change. But like I said, I've only been clean since December 19, 2018. You know, so that's I was down since 2010. So damn, I'm sorry, December 19, 2018. So yeah, damn, 8 years into my term. At the end of the 8th year, yeah. Man, who was I, Jess?
A madman.
What about you, Jess? 23 out of 24 years?
I'm just trying to get my life together. I'm just now trying to get my life together. While we were in the middle of this conversation, I came to the realization that something was wrong.
That your life has become unmanageable
and out of control. James, can you help me? No, it took me about 19 years into my prison term before I started questioning that I had a problem. Like, I started questioning, well, you know what? I always had some excuse. I always had somebody to blame. I always had just some rationalization for, things that weren't going well, and I always had some bullshit, that I believed, and it wasn't just bullshit that I was lying to, my people and just lying. No, I believed the nonsense that I was telling myself and telling other people, because that's just how conditioned I was, and that's the addict mind. That's the criminal mind. And so for me, it took me 19 years, and I got to a place that I was just like, hold on, I was sitting in the hole again, for distributing narcotics in prison, for selling drugs in prison. I was sitting in the hole again, and I was just kind of like, what am I doing? I have nobody else. I had left the gang already. I had, I had already come to the side. I had nobody else to blame but myself, and it just made me like, and I, like I said, I was hurting my family. I was hurting other people. I signed up to do life in prison, but the people who were doing this time with me, they didn't sign up to be paying, suffering the consequences of my choices every day. And I just couldn't. You can't tell people you love them and not be willing to make some kind of effort to at least show them in something other than word. And that's kind of what it became for me, And in the process, I realized, like, hold on, man, this change stuff is great. I started to love myself, not just masquerade, that I was, that I was all that, but I truly started to value myself, value human life. I understood the magnitude of the things that I was doing, the magnitude of how it hurt my victim and many other people along the way. But it all started with understanding what I was doing to those closest to me. And once I started to soften that callus around my heart, I started to understand the true impact and magnitude of the life I had lived for so long.
Yeah.
And so it took me 19 years in here before I even stopped and said, hold on, what's going on here? Why am I still doing the same shit that I was doing why am I still doing at 39 years old, the same thing that I was doing, at 15 years old or whatever. But, yeah.
Hey, what's up with everybody out in the world? What's up with James's old school ringtone?
Yeah.
Like, that's like, that's like the ringtone that they use on. That's the ringtone that they use on movies. When you hear like a 555 number ring.
Yeah, I hear James's pager in the background.
Yeah.
James, is that your pager in the background?
Yeah.
Hey James, quick question.
Yeah.
What's up with Enlightenment? Have you heard from Enlightenment?
You know what? He tapped in right before I took off. I think like the day before I took off. So he
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
He said that he had told me that he mentioned that he had a girlfriend, so I think that kind of it's taken up a lot of his time. That's why he hasn't been tapping in as much. But he still taps in from time to time.
As it should.
Check him out. If you hear from him next time he's on there, man, send him our love. I messaged him the other day, and I was just wondering why we hadn't heard from him, why I hadn't heard him being on the show. But if you talk to him,
say no more.
Yeah, send our love to him. So we know you got the woman, so we proud. Yep, that's cool, man. Hope his son and everybody else is doing good. That's cool.
Yeah.
What about SoCal Fish Slayer? You heard from him at all?
SoCal Fish Slayer, nah. It's been a while, maybe like 3-4 weeks since I seen him tap in. But I have seen him. I've seen him tap in on other people's messaging board. So he is out there. So he's still kicking.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's around doing his thing. That's the boy right there too.
Yeah.
I got to give him a call too.
Yep.
I couldn't do it today because I got homework due. I got an assignment due tonight, but definitely, I definitely got it. I called him the other day. Last week, as a matter of fact, I called. He didn't answer.
What's up with what else you got for us, James?
Let me see. Well,
what else is on the horn?
Right now, let me see here. Let me go up. And then
James got to go back and read these.
K wrote 6 years of thinking. Wow, at least they made the changes. Yep. And you know what? And for Jesse,
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
For Jesse, I remember something that you mentioned when we did your first interview. You had said that COVID saved your life. Instead of affecting your life negatively, affect your life in a positive way. Because if it wasn't for COVID, you would have probably got shipped over to a different prison. Where
he would have got to a yard where I was at. Where I still had things popping, and he would have been like, "Let's roll."
Yep, 100%. It would have been all bad. Because even though I was committed to my change, I wouldn't have been in an environment. Because survival kicks in before anything. I was conditioned to live in these kind of environments, and if I would have went back to a level 4, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to develop the tools that I have today.
It's gonna hang up. I want to talk about the 6 years of thoughts, of thinking to change, and I want to kind of explain why that happens.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. All right. So Wetsuit Man is asking me, can they call to Canada for free? They could call anywhere in the world for free. They could call anywhere. I've had them call me in Europe. When I went to Europe, I had a number in what was it that I opened it up from Poland. I had opened up a number in Poland, so they called me up to that Polish number when I was there. And recently, when I was out in El Salvador, I had them call me up to my Salvadorian number, and it was free. See right here.
Esta es Global Challenge. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
Un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
Hey, thank you for that daily heart, Linda. Or Lindy. Sorry, my apologies.
Gracias por utilizar Global Challenge.
Hello.
go. Yep. So now look. So when you come to prison, when you get locked up for something crazy like a freaking homicide, like you know you're done. Especially if you know you did it, you're done. We're talking about no more, nothing. Like your life is over. It's done. You know that's how we look at it. You don't even if you're going to have decades of incarceration in front of you, at least. So, well, he's gonna flush.
Drop one, flush one. Damn,
I want to flush one, you know. So that's our toilet.
Does he have his limbs attached? That sounds pretty strong.
Actually, no. I mean, I guess I'm over here kind of closer to that side of the bunk, but yeah. But anyway, so everything you know is out there in society is done. Like you're not going to drive a car no more. You're not. Everything's about you though. You don't think about your victims. You know that's unfortunate, but you're thinking about everything that's affecting you. Like you're not gonna. You may have siblings you're never gonna see again. In person, you may not. You know, family members. You're gonna go like, man, I went like 7 years without seeing my mom in person. You know, it's just things like that. You know, and then you're looking around and you have nothing in the cell. You're in a holding cell that's covered with graffiti everywhere. You got gangs all over the wall that you're looking at. You know, they're writing. You got a Coachella on the wall. You're hearing like all kinds of stories, and everything you hear in your mind is like, damn. You know, like you start noticing that you got nothing comfortable to sit on. Everything's concrete and metal and
completely hopeless and despair.
It just is. Everything echoes. You know, they close a door. You hear that. You know, you can hear it way down the way. It makes like an echo sound, and them loud ass toilets you hear. Like, it's just everything that you realize that you took for granted is gone, maybe forever. And the crazy part is, we've seen bodies in here. Like I've seen people die in prison. You know, they just wheel you out, put you in a body bag, and you're gone. You know, they keep a stretcher right here that I've seen a body on, not in this day room, but I mean the same one that's right there. You know, it's just you're done. So unfortunately, right, that's you get kind of lost in that, and you don't want to face that. There's all kinds of stuff in prison that can eliminate some of the things that you're going to go without. Like you don't have cell phones in prison, but dudes have them in here. They're around. So the first thing is like, man, you can't just pick up the phone and call your friends. You know, before we had the tablets, you know, you had to go try to get a phone call, and you know, it's just a big old hassle. People got to accept the message. You hear the message that comes on here. You lose numbers. You know, if you have numbers on your phone, you lose track of people immediately. Like your whole life is just it's just done. So drugs sound pretty good at that time. They sound, you know, and you got a guy that comes in and he pulls out freaking, you know, big old freaking handful of freaking of that go fast, or you know, that slow down stuff, that opioid stuff, and you know, it's looking kind of good. I've never used opioids out in the streets. Never. I've never used it out in society, and here I use it all the time. It's that despair in your heart, you know, where it's just like, man, I would rather be freaking scratching my freaking nose off than sitting here trying to think about everything.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
So, when you're thinking about changing, time will go by. You're just like, man, it would, you know, I wonder what it would be like to get clean. Maybe you'll go like a few weeks or so, because you could always find drugs in here. So you'll go like a little bit, and then you realize, boom, everything that you went through to process what you're feeling, it comes and hits you like a ton of bricks. And your addiction is also whispering in the back of your head, like, you know, I can make this all go away. When I was high in here, I didn't even notice I was in prison. You know, I was already institutionalized. I'd been in here as a kid.
I didn't do a day of this 24 years until I got sober.
Yep. You don't do time like that. It doesn't process like, as soon as you're high, boom, it's gone. You're out. You're back basically out in the streets. You know?
You're
So
whatever trip your mind decides to take you on.
yeah, so when you get sober in here, you have to accept the confines of your incarceration.
And you were saying all that to lead up to 6 years of pre-contemplation.
Yeah, that's why it took a while for me to be like, man. And then not only that, you have to eventually come to the terms of what you did. Everybody that you hurt, not just your victim.
That in itself is another excuse to want to get high.
For sure, not just your victim, that you're here for your life crime. Victims, plural. We hurt tons of people.
Yeah.
We hurt our families. We've broken hearts. We've destroyed relationships. We've just
terrorized communities.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we have to atone for. And
when that reality sets in, the shame tries to get you, the very same shame that you've been trying to run from for many years.
Yeah, I'll go and I'll look around and I'll be like, man, that means, and like I said, you got to cut the big five first before you could even say that you're on the right track of recovery. The big five, you have to stop using drugs. All right. First of all, you can't say you're in recovery if you're still getting high. I don't give a shit if it's even Suboxone. If you're getting high off of something, you're not clean. If you're then, not only that is you got to stop selling drugs. Before you can stop selling drugs, you have to accept, hey, I'm not going to be able to support myself in here. I'm going to depend on somebody else to support me, possibly for the rest of my freaking life in here. I can't. I don't have a job where they pay me money like that. I make $7 a month and they take half of it in my job.
And for people like us who came up from certain aspects that we developed a belief early on, well, if I don't take care of myself, nobody else will. I don't want to be dependent on anybody. And when you have that philosophy, when you have that ideology, when you give everything up and you start to realize, like, okay, yeah, I'm sure you've asked your mom for some things here, baby, for, wifey for some things there, whatever it is. But then you get to when you're completely dependent on somebody else taking care of you, especially from our cultures where we come from, like, hey, a man's supposed to be a man. I'm supposed to take care of my family. I'm supposed to take care of myself. And to have to, like, depend on somebody to take care of you, it can be a little, emasculating.
For sure. It's horrible. It's a freaking nightmare.
Yeah.
Where I think, like, man, I know how to make money in prison. I've been doing it half my life.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, you do it, but then that's gone. You stop selling drugs, that's done. I have to depend on somebody else's sympathy for me, to send me stuff, or I'm not going to eat. I'm going to have to eat this state food that we hate. I missed dinner tonight just so I can spend time with you guys because it's freaking horrible. I can't eat that damn food. I will if I have to. It's all covered in oil and freaking looks weird. Like, you can't even tell what it is. Like,
I ate a sandwich earlier from the kitchen that almost killed me when I was out there playing volleyball.
Yeah, it's soaking some weird grease. Yeah, it's terrible.
I was literally out there dying in the 108-degree weather, indigestion. I was like, damn, I should have just eaten an oatmeal before I went to yard. But that's what we ate for dinner was oatmeal. Dave came in like, what are we eating? I was like, well, I can't eat anything but oatmeal. But if you want to make something, go ahead.
Yeah, I was even starving. I'm all cramped up. Anyway, so yeah, but then so you're at the freaking mercy of anybody that can freaking help you out. Like, we got you guys out there in the world have actually helped send Jesse and I money, so we could get some soap ass. I make jokes about getting my alligator skin boots or my ostrich skin boots and stuff like that. But hell no, we're trying to eat. We want to have little things like little clothes and stuff like that we get from packages, but it's all at the mercy of somebody else. Because I can't support myself with $7 cut in half.
And it's another thing, too, when you think about it, like when you're just like, damn, when you know what really goes into supporting a family now and you can truly grasp the value of $1, it's kind of like, damn, do I really need this? Do I want to ask somebody for that? Because they're out there busting their ass, to keep a roof over their head.
For sure.
And I'm not able to be there and do, contribute my part to society. That's another battle inside yourself. Like, for me, what that does for me, though, it helps me understand how I was continuing to victimize so many people just by dealing drugs in prison. Like, when I started to realize, like, damn, what is it to get a couple $100 for canteen? Like, that's a few hours worth of work out there for some people. And now imagine how many thousands of dollars we've taken from people. I've taken thousands of dollars from one individual,
Yep.
from their family, from their mom,
Like
their
it broke
wife,
them, yep.
selling drugs to them. And I never stopped to think about what are those people going through. And in their mind, I'm thinking, well, shit, they want to pay for his drug habit. That's on them. That's how I rationalized it when I was dealing drugs. I'm like, man, they got to know this dude's a freaking drug addict. Who the hell needs to spend thousands of dollars in prison? I never stopped to think for a minute that in their mind they're thinking, well, prison's dangerous. If I don't send this money, whatever he's doing in there, I don't want him to be in trouble. They can't think of anything beyond the safety of their loved one. It's not until they're completely over it that they realize you're a freaking drug addict and I'm not going to support you anymore. If you don't care that I'm killing myself out here to support you, and you're just, using my money and my blood, sweat, and tears to support your drug habit, then you're on your own. And that's when you see them start to break.
And the funny part, though, is we would have done something to them.
Oh, 100%.
If they didn't pay, they'd have been done.
100%. That's the only thing that made
I would have put a yard down in a second. Yeah. And the thing is, so that's the crazy part. So, that's hard, man. That's a difficult realization. It's like, man, you want to deal with that sober? Then, so I don't use drugs. I don't sell drugs. And then I was like, man, I don't use cell phones. So there it is. I have to disconnect myself again from my friends and my loved ones and from people that I enjoy talking to. I miss them. They were my friends. I took it for granted, those relationships, but it's like, all right, well, I can't just go on the cell phone and watch a movie on Netflix and, because all that stuff happens in here. I can't do none of those things. I can't play a game on it. I can't do those, just get on Facebook and talk to people and do all that. So it's just, I'm just going to disconnect myself completely from the world again. And I did it. I had to do it. Because I knew that I was never going to freaking get over my criminal thinking if I was still using cell phones. So I had to cut it out. No more sending a freaking kissy face lips to my girl. Yeah.
Hey, Iceman just showed up. I just seen him just pop up on the screen right here. Hey, what's up, Iceman?
Hey, what's up, Iceman? We send our love to you, bro.
Hey, we said his name 3 times and he popped up like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, it was like Beetlejuice. Iceman. Man, congratulations on the new relationship, bro. Hope everything's going good for you. Hopefully your son's still doing good. Everything's bright for you up there, man.
We think about you often. We talk about you. And we're glad that you popped up. Now, Iceman is an original.
Yeah, he's original. He's been with us, man. I'm looking forward to meeting Iceman when I get out there.
Yep, go out there and freaking. When I go back up to Frisco, I know we're not going to find Max up there, but
maybe.
But still. Nah, but that's cool, man. I'm glad the boy's on, man.
Yeah, he wrote.
But
he wrote.
So that's, you can't do that. Go ahead.
He wrote, "Órale." He said he wrote, "All good here."
Órale. Yup, that's cool. That's cool. That's the boy right there. Yep. So those are 3 things you got to stop. No using drugs, no selling drugs, no using cell phones, and you can't fight. You can't be beating people up in prison just because it's prison. Like, first thing everybody wants to do when they get to prison, not everybody, but most of us come to prison, you just want to fight motherfuckers. You just want to get in a fight, fisticuffs. Just go old school, just freaking jaw on jaw, just freaking violence. You can't do that. You can't. The same anger that it took for me to fight somebody is what it took for me to take somebody's life. Period. It's just that time I had something in my hand. And that's all it is. There's nothing more to it. All you aggressive.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
We're gonna get a double whammy.
Huh? What happened?
We're gonna get a double whammy.
Back right now with the 60 seconds.
Yep.
Oh, that sucks.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
Damn them. So yeah, all that, like, it's the same energy that takes to take somebody's life. I hope you guys know that out there. You're feeling mad, you feel like fighting somebody, it's real easy to take somebody's life. You got to be very careful with that, and that's what the board sees in here. Like, you and you're fighting people, like, that's the same nexus to the reason why you're here in the first place. If you can't control your anger for the small things, what happens when the big things come up?
Yeah, what happens when you got the weight of responsibility pressing down on you, paying bills, going to work, a mean boss and a mean old lady, and you got all these things pressing down on you. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and then somebody crashes into your car.
Yep.
Like, what are you going to do?
Road rage.
Yeah, with a crowbar.
Yep.
And also, you can't be in a gang. You can't be in recovery in a gang. Come on now. Like, let's be real here.
Everything that a gang, being in a gang encompasses
Call back.
is contrary to being.
It's about to hang up. All right. Hey, Southside, I'm gonna go ahead and read off your comments right now when they call back. Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And I'll go ahead and read off your comment right now. Wetsuit Man 6'9", if you will. Man, so man, how long have we been on already? For over 2 hours now. This will probably be our last call with these calls right now. My daughter just walked in a while ago. She just got back from college, so gotta go ahead and spend some time with the family out there. So.
This call is now being recorded. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
David Lopez.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
5.
Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello.
James. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't be in no gang and say you're in recovery. So, that's just what it is. But that's how serious that question was. Like when she asked, she was like, "Oh, 6 years to recover." Like, man, I feel like I was actually fast. 6 years. Yeah, man. Then you get clean. You're just looking around. And you're like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" So
yeah. The dust settles and you're like, OMG, what have I done with my life?
LMFAO.
Yeah. That's real shit. And that's something you got to struggle. I know I deal with that all the time. Like sometimes, that the reality tries to resurface. Like, man, dude, like I can't believe I wasted so many years of my life. Like I think about the potential and the possibilities of what our future holds. And I think, like, man, imagine where we could have been right now, And, of course, we can't, I say it all the time, you can't unsuck a dick. What's done is done. Yeah, well, you know what? It is what it is, But I can't help but to still think, like, damn, like, imagine where we'd be, fool. Like, we're going to school. We're getting ready to start a bachelor's program. Imagine what we could have done had we done this at 18, 19 years old. Where we would have been and, what professions we could have been in, what kind of lives we would have lived had we not been destroying lives and destroying our own lives, And again, I don't do it from a bad place where it's like, oh, God, but it's just kind of like, man.
Shit, speak for yourself. I do. I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God.
Yeah. No, I mean, the reality is to truly move forward, you have to learn to forgive yourself. And and that's just the reality of it. Because if not, then you're still in that cycle.
I'm like the guy from Family Guy. Oh no!
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And what other questions that are going to trigger us you got on there?
So I got some comments from South BK, and he writes, let me see. Here in New York, they've been releasing top tier prison inmates because all of the correctional officers fired. A guy by me had 25 to life, and he was just released last week. He said he couldn't believe it.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, they had a big old thing going on over there in the prison system in New York because the guards had actually beat a couple guys to death. And so when they went, there was a big old strike going on. They had to call in the National Guard and everything.
Yep.
I actually knew somebody that was actually going over there and working as National Guard in the prison systems because of what was taking place over there. So I know there's supposed to be a lot of overhauling going on in the New York prison system. So hopefully that works. New York is a liberal state as well, so hopefully they start getting to some of the things into. I know they do have a lot of good stuff going on in New York also, but hopefully they can continue to evolve and progress over there in the sense that, they give the guys the things they need to get out of prison.
You know what is crazy in prison is, even in California, like, guards get hurt pretty bad, like a lot, and they hurt people in here. This is like one giant freaking slugfest in here. And I feel bad for like the good guys that get involved with all that, because there's good guys on both sides. Just because somebody works in here as a CO or an officer doesn't mean they're bad people. Like, quite the opposite. There's people that come out of the military and they're just, man, they're here to serve, serve, protect their community, get involved, to get a good paying job. And then there's people that come in here and turn into training day. Yeah, they just come in freaking, they get all caught up in the freaking gang politics and freaking prison politics, and they have an opportunity, they'll take it, just like freaking, a lot of these dudes that are in here in blue, on our side. They see an opening, they see a blind spot, and you're getting knocked the fuck out. And that's just what it is. But it's a sick environment, honestly. I wouldn't recommend people working in here. The people that do, I don't know how the hell you guys freaking survive all this, mentally. It just seems like a high stress environment. And then there's not a lot of movement either. There's guards here that sit up in these towers, and that's what they do all day. They'll work in here double shifts, 18 or 16-hour days, just sitting.
They're getting paid for it, though.
Well, they're getting paid for it. I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you make if you're not going to make it
life to spend.
Yeah, too much past your retirement, you're going to have a major heart attack or freaking shoot yourself or something, Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that the suicide rate is super high for officers here. It's just, I worry about them getting up in the towers and just losing it, That's what I worry about.
A mass casualty?
I do. I worry. Why wouldn't they?
Yep.
Honestly, you never know what the hell's going on in someone's life. And you got some dude up there just watching people walk around the yard that are all what do you call it? You never know if somebody hurt their family member or something like that, and they just come to work and
stable.
Yeah, and they're just up there unstable. Wife just left them, and they're up there with a bunch of cartridges, a freaking lime ammunition, and a freaking rifle.
Yep.
I worry about that. Honestly, I think I even have places where I think I'll jump behind on the yard.
I'm jumping behind you.
Yeah, well, I'll be in a safe place behind a concrete barrier. Yeah, that's the safest bit, because I have all kinds of little places to freaking obstruct shots.
Wherever Dave jumps behind, I'm jumping behind him.
Yep. Double barrier. Yeah, but I think about that. I'm like, damn. And you got 5 gun towers on this yard. You got 5 gun towers with live guns. You got a big one in the middle of the yard that could just pretty much shoot at anybody. And you have 5 other buildings that have, 6 guns. That's 6 damn guns surrounding the yard.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I don't even know where to go.
Hey, do you think if something like that happened, do you think the CDCR would try to cover it up?
No, they can't. They wouldn't be able to cover something like that up.
Yeah, they know they'd be in a world of shit. They do all right by covering up little stuff, but no, something like that, it would definitely be a stain that they wouldn't be able to.
Hell no. Whatever one of us survived it, freaking will be on this damn podcast telling the world. OMG, James. OMG.
Hey, Eliasman got a question for you guys.
Yes.
And Eliasman is asked him if 100 inmates and beat a gorilla.
I've seen that question. That debate is live right now, and honestly, I think the gorilla would freaking rip the face off like the first 3 or 4 freaking people that get near it, and everybody else will run away.
Yeah, we've seen that. Rick Ross and his boys are talking about it on TMZ, and now everybody in here is talking about it.
And let me tell you why. We come from a place of knowledge. Now, I can tell, right?
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
We can tell on the yard how many people beat one person, right? There'll be somebody that'll be an alarm, and when the guy comes out of the building, I'll be right off the bat, I'll be like, oh, that looks like the work of 2 cholos, Like you could tell, it'd be like, oh, that looks like the work of 3 cholos. But I've seen people just go at it, right? Like literally. The funny part is that we have it here. These guys come into 4 block right here. They want to get out of here, and 15 guys jumped 2 guys the other day.
Yeah. And
they said half of them beat each other up.
Yeah, I used to tell people in the county all the time, I'd rather get jumped by 20 dudes than 2 or 3.
Yeah. It's just, hey, you've never seen the Cholo's fist fly, James?
Yeah.
The fists of fury?
Yep.
Yeah, of course you have. Freaking grew up in L.A., Holmes. Of course you have. And when they go, they go. And a gorilla, he'll be the only one focused. These dudes will be. Hey, you'll see Nike Cortez, and you'll see freaking bald heads and freaking Ben Davis flying, you know, as far as the eyes can see. But they're not gonna all like. They won't be able to take that gorilla down. They won't do it. Can't happen. Now the power of 100 fists will knock that gorilla the hell out. They don't. They just. It's not going to work. How are you going to connect to that gorilla? Like, max 4 or 5 people at a time will be friggin' delivering the blows.
Yeah, because one of his arms could easily swipe 2 guys away. Just boom, boom. Because that's you know, let's say an 800-pound gorilla, you know, 700-pound gorilla swinging a 100-pound arm.
And he'll get into it too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that fucking gorilla will go bananas.
How
that was my pun.
Bananas. Bananas.
That gorilla will go bananas.
Hey, James, quick question.
Yeah.
How many people do you think that were tuned in earlier were holdovers from, like, the court? You still doing the court streamings?
Yeah. I still am. Yeah. But I haven't done them, since I was out live. So, but right now it's been fluctuating between 50
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
between 50 to 70 people listening in.
Well, we gotta have them. We gotta have you reading off their questions, like,
That's not bad.
as they go.
Yeah.
That's cool,
Well, it's
man. That's
it's
cool
kind of
that
hard because
everybody's been here.
the answers are not like really like one-liner answers that you guys give. So, man, I wish maybe we should like a rapid hour session where I just like read off questions and then you just like answer them and we go on to the next one.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll go
Okay.
yes. No. Maximum security.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yes. No. Maybe so.
Yes. I was an idiot. He was an idiot. We're both idiots that time.
If you don't know, now you know.
It's hard. Well tight. Go ahead. Gorilla goes bananas. Yep. Well, no, that's cool, man. What else you got for us?
Let me see. Shay wants to know what are they going to school for, and then Wetsuit Man wrote respect for them.
That's cool, man. I appreciate that.
We're going to school right now. We're double and triple majoring. We're going to graduate in after this next semester with psychology, sociology, and I'm getting a business degree. Dave is also getting a general studies degree, and then we're going to start a bachelor's program in journalism. We don't have any options as far as the bachelor's program in this prison. We just have to take what they give us.
Yeah.
But as far as the associate's degrees, we were able to pursue through several different schools, so we were able to obtain in different.
I would love to get my bachelor's degree in psychology. I have 2 degrees by July, James. I'll have 2 degrees. I already petitioned for them, so I'll have an associate's degree for transfer in university studies with an emphasis on social sciences, and then another one in general studies with an emphasis on social sciences, and then in the fall, I should be able to lock in like 3 or 4 more degrees in psychology, sociology, behavioral sciences, and I think American institutions. I think I'm going to grab that one too. So yeah, those are all associate's degrees, and then I'll be simultaneously enrolled in San Diego State for my bachelor's degree, like Jesse said, in journalism. And I want to go all the way to a master's and possibly a PhD if I can, but I'm not going to be able to do that in here. Turns out I'm pretty smart, man. I didn't know I was this smart. I'm like super villain smart.
All right.
So just want you guys to know that.
Eliasman wrote, he sent a message, send my saludos to Javier, if you will.
All right.
We'll do our best. We don't see Javi that much anymore.
Yeah, every now and then we'll catch him on the morning yard on the weekend or
You're out
something.
there chasing something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's right. Let me see. A Chad wrote, "Hey, I know this call's about to get disconnected. At the next one coming up, we're gonna cut it short because my wife just got back in. My daughter just came back from college, so I'm gonna step on it and go spend some time with them. But I got the last question from Chad right here, and he writes, what's the can't go without in its spread? Pickle juice, cheese, or sausage stick?
Definitely cheese.
And a spread, I'm going with cheese.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
I think it's definitely a tie between sausage and cheese.
We could scratch the pickle juice.
Yeah, you could do without the pickle
We
juice.
need actual pickles.
But you could also replace the sausage with some other kind of meat, and you can't really replace the cheese with anything.
We don't do a sausage sticks much. We do Chinese sausages. All those things are freaking great.
Yep. And we don't make spreads really because we don't mess with soups too often. But we definitely do a lot of delicious cooking. James, I actually made 24 tacos the other day, fried tacos, fried the tortilla in the hot pot.
Fried the hot pot, but the tacos were great.
And then chased it with a fried honey bun.
Yeah.
Fried honey bun? I got to hear about this honey bun. This fried honey bun.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, let me see. Hey, what's up, Tabby Tab? So after this one, I'm about to cut it right now. When they call back, I got to go ahead and attend to my family matters over here, if you will. My daughter just got back from college, so we got to go ahead and see what's up, how she's doing. Hey, thank you, Tabby. Thank you. Highly appreciate that 25-something that you sent on over. Hey, do you know what years they got put in? Jesse's been in since 2001, I want to say. And David's been, I think, since
Esta es Global
2008.
Talent. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
David,
This call is now being recorded.
un individuo encarcelado en
So
de la
Sabado
prisión
La Safer,
estatal de Centinela,
100% el
Centinela,
Iceman.
California. Esta llamada
Yeah,
y su
El
número
Salvador
de
is super
teléfono
safe
será
now. I was walking
controlada
around
y
there in the
grabada.
nighttime
You have a prepaid call.
like
You
it
will
was
not be
nothing.
charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5.
5.
Gracias por utilizar Global Talent.
Hello.
Actual pancakes. The ones we get is not real pancakes. Hey, we're talking about making pancakes. Dave's been pressing me about making pancakes, and I've been lagging. But I want to get some bananas. I want to try to make pancakes with bananas. But we got to try to make regular pancakes before we go get all fancy with the bananas. But so I came up off a bottle of Crisco oil, and I put it into the hot pot, and I made some tacos. I fried the shells up, got them nice and right. Made some tacos de res and tacos de pollo chilorrio, and they were fire. Made some some Spanish rice with some beans, and it went down. I made 24 tacos and 2 tostadas, and then in the end when we were done, and that was just for 2 sales. That was just for me and my celly and my neighbors. We actually ate most of it. They only got 8 tacos. We ate everything else. We ate 7 tacos and a tostada apiece. And then I said, you know what, food? We might as well go all in right here. We're disgusting, sick marranos. Let's do this. And I was like, I go, let's fry this honey bun. So what I did is I tried it with a piece of bread first just to see how it worked. And I fried like a little piece of bread, and it worked out all right. So I said, you know what, cool. And I threw the honey bun in there. I messed up because I cut it in half, so that way, just to try it. That way it wasn't just a total blooper. I threw the honey bun in there, and I cooked it for too long because the tortillas took a little while to fry up, to make the shells. And so I threw the honey bun on there thinking like, oh, it's going to need a little bit of time. And the bread took a while, but the honey bun, it crisped quick. So mine, the first one I did, it burned it a little bit on one side of it, but the other side was cool. And so by the time I threw Dave's in there, I already knew what I was doing. So I threw it in there and pulled it out. That thing was fire. It would smell like the fairgrounds up in this bitch.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it was cool. And so we knocked it back. And then what did we make? What was the other thing?
Oh, fried spam.
Oh yeah. So yesterday we fried some spam. We made some spam sandwiches with shredded mozzarella cheese. We chopped up onion, tomato, onion, tomato, and yellow chiles, and we hooked them up. Same thing, fried, but we fried the spam so it was nice and crispy, and that was actually pretty delicious too.
It was. I'm super hungry now. He's talking about other stuff. I want you guys to know. Like I said, ask Max when he's going to be done with dinner.
Yeah, Dave's coming over for dinner to Max's house. Yeah, hope you made enough for everybody.
Yeah. Iceman, I know he moonlights as a butcher.
Yeah, he moonlights as a butcher. We're gonna need a meat shank. What is it? What is a flank of? No,
you gonna call it a meat shank?
Yeah, well, they call it a shank of meat.
I'm too immature to hear that.
A beef shank. That's what they call beef shank or something like that. I'm not too hip on my butcher talk, but I'm definitely hip to the meat shanks in prison.
Yeah, there's people looking for a meat shank in prison, so I don't know. You know, I think that there's a lot of stuff we need to talk about. You say you only got a few minutes left, James? We had a breakthrough here with Jess.
Yeah, he's looking for meat shanks on live television, on live radio.
Oh man, this guy cracks me up.
So they, but it was pretty delicious. But we got these pancake mix, and we're planning a day. I told Dave we got to do this on the next time we have a down day, because to actually do the pancakes instead of...
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
It's kind of a mission. I have to take my TV down and my alarm clock and everything off my locker, and I have to get the plates and set them up against the locker, so that way the locker turns into like a skillet, little stove. Yeah. And so it's kind of a little mission, but it's definitely worth it in the end. For sure. And it's fun. I actually enjoy cooking. I love cooking, so it's actually pretty fun. But with the pancakes, we're gonna have to try it out. We got real syrup and real pancake mix, so we're gonna definitely make something delicious.
For sure. Hey, so we gotta send this. So we're gonna have to cut this short before James gets run off or something like that. Yeah, we spent like 2.5 hours with y'all. I think y'all know. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
Ever since HD came off from Texas, I say y'all.
Oh, okay.
I'll say y'all. Yeah.
Well, so then we could say our goodbyes now, because I know James needs to get out there and see his daughter and spend some time with wifey on Mother's Day.
Yep.
Definitely want to send a shout out, man, again to all the wonderful women that, on Mother's Day. Thank you guys. Any of you guys that are doing time with, any women that are doing time with with one of your loved ones, your husband, your brother, anybody you got in prison. Yep. It takes a special kind of woman.
Yep. Always keep in mind that your guys' loved ones are complicated people. This place, it changes us. We come from a lot of traumas, a lot of terrible things happen in our lives. We've done a lot of terrible things. So there's a lot of trust issues. There's all kinds of freaking factors, man, that lead to us making stupid decisions along the way.
Yeah.
Don't lose hope and don't lose faith in your loved ones. And you have to know, too, though, when it's time to say goodbye for a little bit. But I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, but I have the urge to, sing us off like Mr. Rogers. Get right into a song, Yeah. Now it's time to say goodbye. Just put on my little vest, just a little day. Anyway, James, it's probably the heat stroke, but anyway, man, yeah. So, but I do want to send a shout out though to all the mothers once again, man. You guys are the strength for every strong man. There's always a strong woman, whether it be wifey, mother. So we got to send a shout out to you guys, man. To all the regulars out there, people who are our biggest fans. Thank you guys. Those insomniacs that are still there across the pond. Thank you for coming in.
Yep.
Southside BK, Iceman, Fish Slayer, Chubby Jessica.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in. Chubby Jessica, we haven't heard from Chubby Jessica in a while, so it's cool to have her tune in again. Yep. She's a regular like Iceman and Fish Slayer and all the regulars.
Sorry if I forgot your guys' names. I'm bad with names sometimes. But
Mad Max. And
If you guys ever want to holler at us, you guys could just add yourselves to the tablets. You guys can come and shoot the shit with us whenever you want. We are in prison. We are not going nowhere. You could go on to GTL or go Google it. How do I communicate with a California prisoner via tablet? And you guys can pop up whenever you want. We've met a lot of good people on these lives here that have changed our lives in so many ways, And so we really appreciate you guys. We appreciate your guys' support.
Yeah. Definitely want to send a shout out too, because I know my son and my daughter are so lucky to have, my wife is their mother. She's an awesome mother, and so I just want to say, thank you for being the mother that you've been to them. And this is Mother's Day, and so just know that they're lucky to have you. Everybody's lucky to have you in their life, and that's awesome, you know. So it's a special day for mothers. So I definitely wanted to send that shout out.
Yep, to my mama, yo mama.
Yep, to my mama, yo mama,
baby mama, baby mama, drama mama.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't send no shout outs to the baby's mamas. They're horrible.
No. Yeah, everybody but them, huh? All mothers with the exception.
Yeah, all
of those.
mothers except for my baby's mothers.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure. And then if anybody does want to reach out to them and you guys are having a hard time figuring it out, you guys could always send me a DM on TikTok, and I'll go ahead and send you direct links and provide you with whatever information you guys need, and and I'll try to help out like that, if you will. But hey, I do appreciate everybody. You guys were listening, dropping comments, and David and Jesse for calling in. Highly appreciate you guys. Like I said around here, hey, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it lights out. And with that, we are out. A rato.
A rato.